Welcome everybody to Rye House Kart Raceway for round 5 of the 2021 Club 100 Sprints series of championships. This is your Alpha Live stream and we are here to bring you all of the action from today's racing. My name is Howard Mitchell and alongside me in the comms position today, standing in for the usual Andrew Mather, I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Moto Meerkat himself, John Ratcliffe. You all right today, John?
I'm doing very well, thank you, sir. Finally got the mic on, we're all good. And yeah, really excited to be here at Rye House. My first time here, so great to see some fun racing. So yeah, thank you for having me. Sorry I can't have Andrew here today, but hopefully I can just be as good of a step in.
No worries, mate. It is a pleasure to have you. Together we are your Double Dash Motorsport Media comms team in for you today. The weather at the moment, it's a lovely, blissfully sunny day, but there are some light showers forecasted. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops as the day goes on. Definitely quite warm at the moment at the circuit. And the kart's just going out for their practice. I think we've just about got time as they're doing their warm-up laps maybe to have a look at the circuit here at Rye House. So a unique challenge here at Rye House Kart Raceway. It's a twisty technical track, this one. Important to string your corners together in a nice coherent sequence. We start off with the iconic stadium section. It's a bold turn in here, a fast, long right-hander, double apex, and into the left-hander known as Reggie's elbow. Here we are on board with Andrew Ward. It's a mid-apex into stadium, and then going a few kart widths out again so that you can loop back around for that second apex, and then through the elbow there to set yourself up for the tightest hairpin pretty much on the Club 100 calendar. This is our Monaco hairpin, an infield hairpin, heavy braking into there, and then there's a little kink on the straight between that and hairpin 2. Unusual hairpin, this one. It widens out on exit, so you actually go for quite an early apex as we see here, and then just open it out, bringing in the throttle on the back straight. You've got to get across to the right-hand side. Important to have your wits about you if you're in a side-by-side battle at this point. And then it's the swooping section of the left-hander at pylon into complex Nouvelle. It's time to sling your car over the apex here, so you straight line your braking to get a nice late apex out of the Nouvelle. Through the S's, which is really all about setting yourself up for the final right-hander at paddock so that you can carry as much speed onto the straight to carry as much speed as possible onto the next lap and into Stadium Corner. And that is a lap of Rye House Kart Raceway, just on the edge of Hoddesdon in Hertfordshire, England, 950 metres. Bit of a challenge. It's a unique track on the calendar, and I should mention as well, race starts here as well, John. You can have quite a bit of fun and drama going down, particularly that infield hairpin 1. But with that being said, we should probably look straight ahead to the first race of the day. We're starting with the lightweights here today in Club 100 at Rye House. Let's have a look ahead at heat number 1. Drivers out for their practice laps then for this first heat. Let's take you through the grid for this first race of the day. It's going to be Tony Philbin on pole for this one with Adrian Mertens alongside. Greg Smith, talking to him this morning, this track's a bit of a personal favourite of his, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets his day off to a start from third. Thomas Barrett alongside. Christopher Powell and Dom Cliff make up row number 3. Row 4 is going to be Hussein Rashid and Andrew Rabich. Ramidas Sakauskas, who did a crazy job yesterday in the endurances of doing an entire 2-hour race by himself. And Neg Douglas round out your top 10. Keith Segal and David Hamer on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Peter Sharp and Russell Cooper. Justin Draper and Liam Rogers are your 8th row. Bartek Barankonski and Samuel Essery are row 9. And then on his own on row 10 is Aaron Stillwell, rounding out your 19 kart grid for this first race of the day. Well, John, you were mentioning it was your first time here. We're about to get underway here as they line up. Anything in particular that's caught your eye about this place? Things that you're looking forward to or dreading, maybe, head towards head?
I'm interested to see how this first corner goes, because you say it's quite an interesting corner, a pretty fast one. I feel like going in there 2 or 3 wide, there could be some interesting overtake. So we'll see how this first one gets underway.
Absolutely, and we are going straight into it today. It is the 87 of Tony Philbin leading them away as we go and underway in our first race of the day. And through stadium section we go. Can they all keep it clean through here? This is where it's so difficult at Rye House to navigate the sort of Noah's Ark formation 2x2 heading towards the hairpin. Is anyone going bold early on? They're not. I think this is sensible upfront driving as Christopher Powell goes off in avoidance there, but that's fair game. That tends to be allowed if it's in the interest of avoiding an incident. So chooses to take the runoff there. So long as they stay the other side of the tyres before rejoining, that's all fine. Into Complex Nouvelle they go. Looks to me, though, like Philbin has been able to retain the lead of this one. Here they are through the S's. Can see several of them. Russell Cooper there was looking for vying for position. But at the end of this first lap, it is Tony Philbin and Adrian Mertens as well has retained that second place he had on the grid as well.
I thought we might see some neck swinging going into the first of the hairpins. I thought people first lap might have an interesting one as
Greg
second place
Smith
man moves up.
Yep, Greg Smith down the inside, and Christopher Powell in that red and blue sleeved suit is looking to capitalise as well. So Greg Smith, I mentioned just now that it's a personal favourite of his, but he's under pressure from Powell as they head into the pylon. That was beautifully judged by Powell there to take himself up into second place. Really bold move. You've got to be committed to make that kind of move stick into pylon and complex Nouvelle.
Was very committed. I thought he might run wide and get re-overtaken through the next complex, but he weighted it absolutely perfectly, and he's through up into second position with only a few minutes left of this race.
We've had to jump quite quickly into this race. It's almost like everybody at the track has a thing to get back home to later on today, isn't it?
That could be.
I can't think. As Powell here looking for the switch back out of hairpin 1, that's really nicely judged. There's a kink on this straight, though. Is he going to get squeezed out a little bit? He's not going to get left with no room, but Philbin squeezed him, and that's going to allow Greg Smith to come back at him side by side down this back straight. Powell just had enough space ahead to cut back across and sort of resume the normal racing line. But and as further back, that's Ned Douglas, I think, battling away with the likes of Ravage and Rashid. But just if they'll let me get a word in, edgeways. If you've not been following Club 100 too much recently, welcome along to the ride. It's quite a crazy one at times, but it's a lot of fun. Different classes. You can see that red number plate on Christopher Powell's kart. That denotes him as a Class 1 runner, as he's got a lovely switchback move out of hairpin 1, and this time has the overspeed to make the move for the lead stick. He's going to run a little bit wide on the exit of hairpin 2, but he should be able to just make that one stick. That was another beautifully judged move. So all the machinery here is equal and even. The classes is simply a denotion of your experience and pace on balance, where we would expect you to filter through. So it's unsurprising, but nevertheless impressive to see Powell navigate his way to the head of this field. He is the only Class 1 runner within this race. You also see the black number-plated drivers. They are Class 2. And the blue number plates on your timing tower are Class 3, but in reality they are black number plates as well, so important to bear in mind as side by side goes Mertens and Smith now in their navigation of third place, and Barrett as well. Thomas Barrett there in the number 93 is looking for a way in as well, but can't make it stick, as Hussein Rashid in the 10 is also having a little nibble, but it stays as they were for now.
A little bit of contact there, but yeah, as you say, everyone's been very impressive so far. Some fantastic moves, especially from Powell up there leading the field. As we say, kind of expected, but still nothing to take away from them. Still very, very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Christopher Powell now pulled away a little bit there, but behind him, look at this. Tony Philbin and Adrian Mertens going at it for second place, and Greg Smith will not need a second time of invitation. This time Mertens is going to try down the inside of hairpin 2. It's a difficult move to make stick, but he's managed to ease open a gap, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it this time round. This is the brilliant kind of dogfight that you get around Rye House. There's a bit of a love tap there, I think, on the rear of Philbin's kart by Adrian Mertens as they go through the S's. He'll try and maximise the exit of this final paddock corner without violating the track limits, which they were told about in the driver's briefing on this final corner, and he will try again this next time around.
Yeah, 2 wheels over that final curb is all right, but any more than that, you will be getting a penalty. But this battle really hotting up. Number 57 looking up the inside there, but 87, Philbin goes defensive again, but it's looking like Smith could pressure this attack. A nice little three-way battle for second here.
Ooh.
Hopefully not another lap tap as 87 goes wide, and that's going to allow Mertens to get a good run. They're going to go side by side down into the pylon section. He's going to get him around the outside. What a move. Perfectly weighted there. Sits it on the apex, but they're going to go through. Oh, there's going to be contact. And they're going to go round.
Philbin off, and that was so unfortunate as they came out of Complex Nouvelle. You could just feel it all tightening up as Greg Smith felt he had the overspeed. We will keep an eye on any penalties attributed there, but I don't know, a bit racing incident. I mean, so Philbin was trying to get back over to the racing line and presumably didn't know that Greg was there, but his nose was very much there and it just nerfed him into the grass. As Ned Douglas is now having a look at the back of Greg Smith, but he needs to be careful because Raminas Sakauskas, who, as I say, had a really interesting day yesterday, is alongside as well as Essery here, Sam Essery, highest place in the Class 3 runners at the moment. He's judging that nicely to squeeze through at Complex Nouvelle. This is brilliant stuff. Unsurprisingly, they're being a little less patient than I was trying to be in the endurance race yesterday, but they've got distinctly less time to deal with it here. This is Hussein Rashid now up into second, leading Adrian Mertens, as this is the battle further back as well. Ned Douglas in that high-vis helmet leading Sakauskas and Draper at the moment, but this is Hussein Rashid. So sorry, Class 1 and Class 2 all scored together, but there is a separate championship with separate silverware at the end of today and all of that going on. So Christopher Powell has checked out at the front of this one, but it's getting very interesting here in amongst the Class 2 and 3 runners, as that is Justin Draper in the 111 having a look at Ned Douglas in the 19 as they come out of Complex Nouvelle. Douglas is a little bit over the curve there, and he's going to have to be defensive in the final corner, and they both slow each other down in reality, and I think that's going to go all the way of Sakauskas and possibly Andrew Ravage as well, as we're on to the last lap of this first race of the day.
Yeah, Draper losing a number of positions there. That's frustrating for them. Going hammer and tong onto the last lap now, and we look forward to the battle for second again. Of that racing incident we saw earlier, Rashid has done very nicely from it, taking himself up to second. It looks like he will hold it as we look slightly further down the field. No, here we are, back to the front. Second place man, we've got number 98 and 107 having a little battle as well as we go into the final section of the track. And it looks like it's all going to stay pretty similar unless we have some crazy dive onto the final corner as Powell takes the win. A fantastic win, some lovely moves, really deserves that one.
Yeah, brilliant start to the day for Christopher Powell. Hussein Rashid will take home the spoils in Class 2 for this first salvo of the day. Across the line in second, Adrian Mertens in third, Thomas Barrett and Greg Smith in the top 5. Great drive from Sam Essery to get that 6th place and the highest place of our Class 3 runners. The significance of Class 3, we'll talk about random grids as the day goes on, but they have randomised within the back of the grid, if that makes sense. You'll never get a Class 3 on pole, which the idea being that they're slightly lower on experience and they're here to gain experience. Anyway, let's look straight ahead to race number 2. Let's take a look at your grid then for heat number 2 of round 5 of the Lightweight Club 100 Sprint Championship for 2021. Dan Cohen will start this one on pole with Chris Woodger alongside Eamon Salir, and Reese Pope are row 2 with James Martin and Josh Adams on row 3. It's going to be Jed Toole and Joshua Sangster on row 4. Row 5 will be Jason Bradbury and Jack O'Neill. Alistair Irvin and Joe Ratcliffe are row number 6. Peter Elliott and Tim Clark are row 7. Row 8 is Matt Hugo and Amy Breacher. And Finn Farrow and Luke Dunnett make up row 9 and close out what I'm hoping, yes, the graphic agrees with me, an 18-kart grid for this one. There's race control. I think with the tinted windows, we can't really wave at you, but that's where John and myself are stationed. Race control as well on the top floor there. That's where they're monitoring the show. We should mention as well, Luke's in that window off to the right. He can't wave either, that's also tinted. But Luke Austin of Alpha Live making sure that the stream is all running smoothly there. Do hope you're enjoying coverage, and do please get your comments coming in. Wonderful to have you along today. I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we pretended that we were the premier sporting event of today that people are interested in. But you know, we're very happy to have you along for the ride, getting some lovely Club 100 go-karting action ahead of any plans that you might have this evening, folks. Interesting to note, I think, John, that for a brief period, Rye House was where Club 100 as a business was based. One could almost say that they're coming home today by being here.
I'm not even going to reply to that. That was so bad, mate.
There is, by the way, a whole complex of activities. If some of you are looking at a picture of a Stegosaurus a little bit confused, which you might well be, we should mention that the Rye House complex, collectively run by the Rye House Group, has a whole host of activities here. If you're looking for a fun day out with the family, on top of the kart circuit, and they have got a small Bambino track here as well for younger drivers to cut their teeth. There is Ryacic World, which you're seeing images of now, I believe, including this plane that sits on the outside of Stadium. So this is the only circuit. I always say this is the only circus. This is the only circuit where I've ever done an interview with a driver underneath a Stegosaurus, which happened once when they were clearing out Ryacic World. They just dotted the dinosaur models around the paddock a bit. But there's crazy golf. There's a stadium here as well. It's all. I think there's laser tag here as well, but I'm not quite. There's all sorts of stuff. So definitely check it out on the Rye House website. There's lots of stuff for you there.
I feel like I'd like to see a combination of the kart track and the dyno world. Get like a Stegosaurus at pylon or something.
You could make this like a proper arcade race, a video game. We're going to race underneath a T-Rex. I like it. I like it. Here we are then, though, getting ready for race number 2. There are 12 heats. Each driver will compete in 3 out of those 12, and they go in blocks of 4. So the drivers we just saw in heat number 1, the earliest you will see them again is in heat number 5, i.e. the first and the second rotation of heats, if you like. We look good for the start here. Just clouded over a little bit over the circuit at the moment. More Class 1 runners in this one, so you see more of these red number-plated drivers as we get ready to go. It's Dan Cohen in the 34, Chris Woodger in the 114. As it's eyes on the lights, engine notes rise, and we're away for race number 2. And it's a good move from Woodger there from grid 2 immediately to defend the inside as they go through Stadium. Are they all going to keep it nice and clean? Yes, they are. That's good, mature driving from them through that. How about at the hairpin as Cohen brakes hard into hairpin 1 for the first time? There's a bit of side-by-side action through the hairpin as one would expect, but I'm delighted to say they're all pointing the right way. And there is O'Neill, championship leader there in the Titan Motorsport race suit, making early progress as well. As they go side by side, almost 3 wide on the back straight. That's gone the way of Alistair Irvine there in the 26. You can see his pink lid there. Quite prominent and easy to spot, but it is Dan Cohen who leads at the end of lap 1. Chris Woodger too has retained his start slot there. Reese Pope is 3rd, and Josh Adams has got past Eamon Salir for 4th on that opening lap. As there's a penalty for Peter Elliott, that is for advantage by contact bump and pass, as the number 9 of Adams there goes down the inside of Woodger, textbook pass into hairpin 1, which I always think is, no, sorry, not on Woodger, apologies. Yes, no, that was not that. That's Adams fighting with Salir, excuse me. But I always think it looks so textbook to go on the brakes into a hairpin and overtake on the brake. It's actually quite difficult because everyone's so confident on the brakes at this level. It's actually quite difficult to do that. And you almost see more moves on nailing a corner exit and having the speed on the next straight, as Salir now is having to defend against James Martin in that green lid in the number 64.
I was going to say, it's looking like the best move so far is exiting hairpin 2, getting a good exit to cut back and then take them down into pylon. Seems like a move that quite a few people are looking to do.
Absolutely. I think it's time that we mention Jack O'Neill there in the 99. Championship leader coming into today, and at the moment he has a spotless record. He has won every single round of the championship so far. He's having a fantastic season as Martin gets a little bit balked there by Salir through the S's, and O'Neill's going to capitalise on that. And it's for opportunism like that, along with his, I'm going to say, this absurd pace that's put in at the head of this field as Adams there, down the inside of Pope into Stadium corner. Nice, bold move. You've got to have that a little bit of overspeed on the start-finish straight and the confidence to just chuck it in. Because it's a middle apex around Stadium, you can actually sort of go for that slightly tighter turn in, and then the other driver goes, oh, right, there's a kart on my inside, and you sort of work it out. And by the final apex of the Stadium, you sort of come to an agreement as to who's in front. So it's a bold move, but it does work actually surprisingly often around here.
I was going to say O'Neill getting some pressure from behind, but I think he's managed to slightly pull away now. He's going to start attacking the men ahead. Moving up into 5th position, I believe he has. He has indeed, as he crosses the timing screen now. We're going down into Stadium, as you say. Some drivers looking to go up the inside, as I believe that was Alistair Irvin sending one cheekily up the inside there in the pink, the beautiful pink lid.
Yep.
Going down into hairpin 1 now. One of the ABkC graduates. One of the boys, one of the few people I've raced against who are out on track right now. But doing well. Currently sat in, I believe he was in 9th, and now he's moved ahead into 8th, so moving his way forward very nicely.
Yep, ahead of Jed Toole and Jason Bradbury now. Bradbury probably won't thank me for pointing out he is currently the lowest down of the Class 1 runners, but I think he may have been the lowest down on the grid, to be fair. Random grids, we should say, for this, as here going side by side is Martin with Eamon Salir, and he's made that stick now, so the 64 ahead of the 122. Don't forget, if you want to follow along the timings in even more detail than you've got in your timing tower here on the left-hand side, you've got a spare screen, head over to live.alphatiming.co.uk, click on Club 100, and you can get the live timing with a driver tracker and any penalties that are issued, but there won't be any of those, because they're all very well behaved, really, very, very well.
It's not quite like the UKC where we get sort of 1 to 1.5 pages of penalties every race.
No comment. It's variable.
As we say that, Jack O'Neill gets a cone penalty. Not great for him there.
So that's going to be a position docked at the end. Is very defensive here. Goes Rhys Pope against Jack O'Neill. But yes, indeed, a one-place deduction to be applied at the end of the race for that cone penalties. There's also a contact warning for Jed Toole issued as well. And down the inside goes Jack O'Neill into hairpin 1, bold on the brakes. He's going to have to go wide on exit, and he's going to have to cut back in. You've got to make a decision. There's that split-second decision. Do I go left or right of the tyres there? Because the one thing you never want to do is to be indecisive and just end up in them. As Rhys Pope didn't seem too happy. That didn't look to me like a gesture of let's work together. That seemed like a what was that, mate, kind of thing. I'm not sure. But no, they're going to settle for that at the moment. This is Jason Bradbury still in the 17, currently leading ahead of Andy Breacher. 2 minutes of this one to go. Dan Cohen, your leader, in the 34. He's got only a 10th over in fact, I think just out my window, I think Woodger's, just there he is now on screen. Woodger's made the move into hairpin 1. So Chris Woodger to the head of the field here in the 114. And Josh Adams is also on the scene. A rising star, Club 100 is Josh Adams. Another driver here on the tail. Now the number 34 of Dan Cohen.
To get a cheeky cut back out the corner there, but not quite going to work. Woodger's going to go slightly defensive and then pull back over to the racing line as Cohen has realised behind him. He's got Adams coming up the inside. A fantastic move there, as you said earlier. Going tight on the final part of the corner. Retaking it. 34's going to look back up the inside, though. Late on the brakes. He's got it. But Adams, with another cutback, very decisive, retakes the place. Job done. Yeah,
it was a bold re-application for the position of second there from Cohen, but he's still running really well. This is good points for him when he went for Class 2 ranks. So getting his day off to a good start nonetheless. As I say, all of these classes scored together, as I imagine it would be the last lap board this time around shown to the 114 of Chris Woodger, who's going to be, I'm just going to have a look actually, has he taken a win yet this season? No, he hasn't. No. So this is going to be an opening win for him as Jack O'Neill now pressuring Dan Cohen over third. He's going to get a lovely drive off of that corner. He'll be on the outside of hairpin 2, but if he's able to get the switch back again, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about these corner exit moves. It's about priming yourself for the next straight here at Rye House.
Yeah, Cohen was frustrated with himself there, went a little bit too deep on the brakes, and knew as soon as he'd done that, he locked it up, went too far wide and lost the position. But they're going to come around the final corner, and Woodger looks like he's going to take the win of race 2 of today, and his first ever win, I believe, this season in Club 100. So fantastic from him, with Adams coming home in second. Then O'Neill up to third, but obviously he had a penalty, so he's going to drop one position when the results do finally get released. Then we got Cohen in 4th, Pope in 5th, Martin in 6th, Alistair Irvine coming in 7th, Mr. Toole in 8th, Bradbury in 9th, and then Breacher rounding out your top 10.
Lovely stuff. We're going to look ahead now immediately to the third heat of the day here with our lightweights here at Rye House.
And here we are already moving super quickly through the day, and we're going to go on to heat number 3 of the lightweights. So on pole for this one is Mike Coppin. Alongside him is Ashley White. Then on to row 2, we've got Darren Teal and Pietro Pagano. Wow, fantastic name, and number 69. Great to see him there. Then we've got Bailey Morgan on 5th and Rob Langthorpe on 6th position, followed up by Rihanna Percox and Peter Knight. Then Callum Bruhl, Steph Theodoru. Then Dan Seeger and Matthew Cockerham. Then on to 13th position, we've got Dan Everest and Sean Glennon on 14th, followed up by Simon Sharp and Aidan Rudge, and then Sam Morris and Alex Brandom finish out the back row of the grid.
Do keep your comments coming in. Good point pointed out here by David Whitehouse. He thinks that Rhys Pope was probably saying get on with it, as he knew that Jack O'Neill was quicker in that last race. It's a good point, actually. I think it was a tactical decision to just say, don't worry about defending, mate. Off you go. And hi to David. He's not here today. He's at fullback. Yeah, a friend of the stream, friend of us here at Double Dash Motorsport Media as well. Doing loads of good stuff with some of the GT Sport series that is run with members of the Club 100 paddock. And there is also a product of all that was 2020, Club 100 iRacing Championship as well. Now in its second season. Do come to the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel on Wednesday of this coming week, and you'll be able to see the next round in the championship for iRacing. The Legends of Club 100 and ABkC iRacing Championship is the full name of that, and I always have to put, it's quite a long name. I don't know if we need to work on a condensed. We just, every folder and file on my computer is just called Legends. But do check us out, and yeah, it's been a really good championship this year.
I didn't know you had a folder of photos of me, mate.
Hey, it's don't judge.
But yeah, that I've been watching that your iRacing League on Double Dash channel. It's been very interesting. Always good to see some sim racing, as you say. It's kind of come alive in 2020, 2021.
It's been great to see the Club 100 community come together, even when there was challenges and difficulties and all these sort of calendar things, changes having to happen throughout 2020. Obviously, the Endurance Championship. The Endurance Championship managed to have one round at the start of 2020 before all had to be adapted and changed a little bit with different race formats being applied there. So it's great that we're getting back to our usual service is being resumed gradually within Club 100. That we are getting the proper championship in. It was great to have the stream coverage at round 2 at Wilton Mill, and now we're back here. But it's great that out of all of that has come this really nice esports community within the Club 100 paddock as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's been fantastic. But we're back to some real life racing now. As race 3 grids up.
I did want to say as well, Mike Coppin starting this one from pole. Good to see him out there. There is a marginal chance that we may see him disappear, and if that is so, it's because his child is being born. So best wishes to him and his wife Jessica, I believe it is. And if we see him rushing off, it is for a very, very good reason, and wishing them all the best.
At least he's got his priorities straight, so we're going to get underway for race 3.
So we're going to see how he gets on as he's warming up the tyres, ready for the race start. Mike Coppin in the 3 on pole, the 18 of Ashley White alongside. Here we go then into Stadium Corner once again. And Pietro Pagano there was looking to make some progress, but I think he's going to be hung out to dry on the outside as they work their way through Reg's Elbow and towards hairpin 1. Bailey Morgan in the 14 there looking to make early progress, but holds position for now in 4th as they all stream through the hairpin. There was a spinner there during their practice laps whilst we were reading out the grids to you, but they all get it done neatly for now, as that is the 102 of Peter Knight making early progress there as he slots behind Rob Langthorpe. I can see they're going through Complex Nouvelle for the first time. Through the S's they will come. It's still Mike Coppin, though, at the front. One of the Applewood drivers, very successful team with the Endurance Championship. Side by side here goes Rihanna Percox and Pietro Pagano, and Rihanna Percox is going to be hung out to dry slightly then, get the attentions of Callum Bruhl. Now this really is a bit of an old BUKC battle going on here. Both of them very successful drivers within that British Universities Karting Championship, which runs in the same Club 100 machinery as we have here for you today. Rihanna Percox now in the 5, leads Bruhl out. I thought she had a stellar day earlier this season at Wilton. Even by her very lofty standards at that track, she's always run well at Wilton, but she was really on it that day. It's going to be interesting to see how she gets on today. Still Mike Coppin at the head of the field, but he's been joined now by Daz Thiel at the head of this field in the number 6. And they're both very experienced drivers, John, so one would imagine that for now they're going to try and work together to bridge that gap and then worry about battling towards the end.
Yeah, you would hope so. I was going to say on the close-up cams, Coppin, unbelievably impressive under the brakes. Practically has it sideways. That's what you got to do to get those extra final couple of tenths out of these karts.
Absolutely. Nice little battle, though, developing here with Percox in that number 5 in 6th place, trying to stay in touch with the battle ahead of them, which is Ashley White, Bailey Morgan and Pietro Pagano. Bailey Morgan, one of our younger competitors here within Club 100, but he's still got a fair amount of experience now at the wheel, and also been involved in the Club 100 Young Drivers Championship, which got going in 2020. It was somewhat muted. So strong on the brakes there from Ashley White. You could see the smoke coming off the back as he braked there. As Ron Blankthorpe goes side by side, really tight there with Dan Seeger. They're still side by side through hairpin 2. They're both going to slow each other up and force them wide, and that's going to give Steph Theodoru the opportunity to get through there. Nice opportunism there for that move.
Fantastic little move there from Theodoro, taking 2 positions on exit. As you said previously, that seems to be the perfect place for an opportunistic move there today. I was going to say Rihanna needs to make a decision here whether she's going to try and go defensive and lose this group ahead, as she hasn't gone defensive and she's actually lost the position there to, who was that? I believe that was Bruhl, wasn't it?
Yeah, Callum Bruhl there, just had the overspeed on the start-finish straight, and as we've spoken about already with that move, sort of stamped the authority on the inside line of Stadium, was able to hang on the inside and get the job done there. Peter Knight it is now in that white helmet and suit combination, chasing Rihanna Percox in that number 5 car. Still Mike Coppin leads with Daz Thiel for close company, and they are now bridging that gap to Ashley White, who is the white helmeted driver at the head of this group. So you've got these 2 leaders, there's Coppin and Thiel, and then a couple of seconds back you've got this train led by Ashley White, which encompasses the vast majority of this 18 kart field.
Yeah, I was going to say they needed to be careful to not lose that kind of second group. But it seems that group have been fighting anyway off screens. They've been able to keep it together. And as you say, there's like 8 karts in a direct train, and then a slight gap, and then a few more. So some great little battles going on all over the grid. As here we are, someone sends it up the inside. Who is that? That is Peter Knight, I believe. Oh, no, it's not.
It's Theodoro.
It was Theodoro passing Knight. My apologies. They're still getting used to numbers. As a big send.
That's Pagano.
That's Pagano. Great little move into, I was going to say pylon, but it's not pylon, it's
Complex Nouvelle.
Actually.
Most people just refer to them collectively as the pylon section, to be fair.
The big pylon, but it's pretty large.
It's me being a corner names nerd, to be honest, as Pagano feels the need to go defensive now against Ashley White as he leads them through Stadium, following on from his nice move a lap ago. And he's still going defensive here. Ashley White's so bold on the brakes there. Will be able to get the switch back. It's difficult when you do get the switch back because a lot of people think of it as a straight between these 2 hairpins, but it's not. There's a kink in it that means that space can run out quickly on you, as Bailey Morgan's managed to tuck under here and go side by side, and I think he'll be able to bring that one home. Yeah, he's going to slide through, but there's a touch on the rear from the 27 of Callum Bruhl, and they all bulk up behind now. And that looked like, was that Theodoro, I think, taking the opportunity to slide on by Callum Bruhl as he got held up there.
Look at that camera shot. How many karts are there in that camera shot? This is insane. Too many battles to focus on. We're getting a couple of contact warnings coming through. We thought that might happen with those couple of bruises going on there, but everyone being pretty respectful of each other and some good racing going on.
Yeah, the only penalty I've seen so far, actually 2 penalties have been issued so far. Sean Glennon, which is a bump and passer, that's 4 positions come the end of his race to be docked, and Pietro Pagano has hit a cone at some point. Our mate Colin the Cone has had a little bit of pain attributed to him, and that means 1 place deducted from wherever Pagano finishes. So running 3rd at the moment, he would be registered in 4th place.
Wouldn't be a Club 100 day without some cone decapitation, would it?
Yeah, Carol Smith asking on YouTube, I missed Heat 1, how can I watch that, please? You can either, probably rewind the YouTube live stream, I'd have thought. If you just hit back to the beginning, you can watch it on a delay. Or, of course, once all is said and done, at the end of the day's racing action, it will be up on this here Alpha Live YouTube channel for you to go and watch back at your leisure. Do hope you're enjoying the coverage we're being able to bring you from Rye House Kart Raceway in Hertfordshire. This is heat race number 3 of the lightweights. We've got the 12 heats of the lightweights to go through with their respective finals as well, the CB and A finals, and then which we'll get onto all of how that works from a championship standpoint as the day goes on. And then we're going to rinse and repeat for the heavyweights this afternoon. But here at the moment, John, Mike Coppin has led Daz Teal onto the final lap, and they're actually halfway round already.
Yeah, Darren Teal setting the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, but he is about half a second back. Not really close enough to send any moves into this final lap unless something crazy happens, as I believe that is Bailey, isn't it, going up the inside? Was that taking 3rd position?
I think he was just covering off any moves from Ashley White.
Okay, no, we've got Pagano is slightly far ahead. I think he should be able to hold that 3rd position, and then just the absolute gaggle behind them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is going to be Mike Coppin, though, who comes round the final corner, leads Daz Teal across the line to take the heat win. Mike Coppin opens his day off with a good score there. Teal across the line. Pagano will finish 3rd, but remember he has that 1 place deduction for a cone. Something happened to Bailey Morgan in the last bit of that lap, didn't it? The second half of that lap, because Ashley White across the line in 4th, Callum Bruhl, Steph Theodore, Bailey Morgan, Rihanna Percox, Peter Knight and Rob Langfield round out your top 10. And I can't tell you any more of the results because they've already sent out the next heat, so we should look ahead to that and bring you heat number 4, the last heat of this rotation. Let's have a look then at your grid for heat number 4 of round 5 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championship for 2021. It's going to be the number 2 of Dan Healy on pole for this one, with Charlie Monk alongside Matt Collier and Cameron Williams on row 2, with Stephen Westwood and Chris Lewis-Evans on row 3. The row 4 is going to be Dante Dillon and Andrew Ward. Ed Bars and Sam Slater round out your top 10. Oscar Lancaster and Bryn Alban are on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Andrew Bushell and James Browning. Robin Kassam and Jagjit Singh are your 8th row of the grid. Your 9th row, and rounding out another 18-kart grid here, is Matthew Cliff and James Dunnett. So by the end of this one, all of the lightweight drivers will have competed in at least one of their, or will have competed in exactly one of their heats. Should say, on this grid, we have some of our champions from the British Indoor Kart Championship, which we haven't mentioned so far, but we are hoping to shine a bit of a spotlight on that today, because in the summer last year, really nice big announcement from Club 100 that they were partnering with Team Sport Karting, which anybody familiar with indoor karting with the UK will have most likely come across the name Team Sport. They have some 35 tracks or so. In fact, that might have changed. It may have even grown even more since I last checked that. But some 35 indoor circuits around the UK, and they run the British Indoor Karting Championship. And the exciting announcement in summer last year, it was about a year ago actually, around this time, that Club 100 announced their partnership with Team Sport to sponsor and support a series of the classes in that ABkC. Obviously, indoor karting is a way that a lot of people first encounter karting. Certainly, where I first had my karting experience, just for so many people, that's how they get involved. And Club 100 partnering in order to provide that really nice, clear stepping stone for how one might progress their career, if you like, within Arrive and Drive karting. You know, to give them a very clear stepping stone there. And the prize that was offered for the 4 adult classes that Club 100 sponsored was to have 8 sprint championship round entries in the subsequent Club 100 season, which is this one. Really, really good prize, because to be clear, out of the 11 rounds, 8 you have drop scores applying within Club 100 championships. So 8 is the minimum that you need to have a valid, fully legitimate championship score and be within a chance of featuring. So really, really big prize. I remember Andrew Mather and I looking at it at the time going, oh, it's a shame we can't enter. I could do with the season's entry for free. But no, we weren't eligible, and we wouldn't have won the ABkC either. But so we were trying to give a bit of a spotlight on these folks. Obviously, a bit of disruption all through 2020 with ABkC, so it's only recently sort of all got wrapped up. So it has been slightly, moved about. But on this grid, shout out to Dante Dillon and Sam Slater, our 2 ABkC champions who are on this grid, your featherweight and lightweight champions respectively. It'll be interesting to see how they go. Dante Dillon in particular, a driver that I know at DDMM we've been commentating on for a long time. Actually used to be commentating on it as far back as Untitled Karting League. But shout out to them, and we're hoping to shine a bit of a spotlight there on our successful ABkC champions, who are the first to come through with that support from Club 100. It looks to me like there might be a car pulling into the pit base. So I wonder if we're going to be going around again.
We are indeed, yeah.
No, we're not.
Oh, no, we're not.
Going to get going. Dan Healy is going to lead them away. It might have been a kart tester at the back. And so away we go. It's a good start from the anti-pole side of the grid, but it still is going to be Healy who leads them through into the stadium section for the first time. Ed Barr's there, I can see, trying to make some early progress in the mid-pack, but it's a difficult place to work it because there can be so much traffic around on this opening lap. 2 wide, 3 wide, heck, even 4 wide going into hairpin 1. Are they all going to work it through? Looks to me like they all have just about. They're certainly all pointing the right way, but a difficult one to navigate for some of our drivers. Still Dan Healy, though, leading them across this back straight towards the pylon section.
Yeah, as we said earlier, Dante Dillon, one of our ABkC boys, getting a little bit squeezed out there through the first few sections, still getting used to Club 100, but I'm sure he'll be able to move his way back up through the field, as I know he has some fantastic pace. One of the drivers I've also raced him for UKC, and he is very, very fast, so this should be very, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. ABkC champion in the featherweight category.
He's a small lad as well.
He does have to put a lot of lead on the carts. There's no two ways about it.
Trolley with all his lead on it.
He does,
It's honestly a great creation. I'm pretty jealous.
Quite, yeah.
Luckily, I've never needed any weight myself.
Indeed. This is in the mid-pack then. Andrew Ward in that 46, defending against Ed Bars, whilst also trying to put some pressure on the number 130. Which is Chris Lewis-Evans in that effort, and he's going to perhaps prise the door open. Is he coming through the S's? He's going to fire one down the inside of Paddock, although that will compromise his exit and might leave him under threat from Ed Bars heading into Stadium. It's one of those risk and reward things into that final corner. You can fire a move down the inside, but it does hinder your progress down the next straight, and it looks to me now like one of our British Indoor Karting Championship champions, Sam Slater, there capitalising on that as well, and also going past Chris Lewis-Evans. So Chris Lewis-Evans now needs to gather himself and try and get back onto the momentum, as there is a penalty for Dante Dillon, which is ABC bump and pass, so that's going to be 4 places deducted at the end of his race, unfortunately, from wherever he finishes.
Slightly frustrating there at the end of the final lap for Evan, just getting sort of funneled backwards. As you say, they're risking the reward of going up the inside of that final corner. That sent him backwards, left him with terrible momentum going to the first corner, and dropped back 2 or 3 positions down into 8th place. But they're all still following nicely. Not too many penalties, as you say, just Dante Dillon getting one for a bump and pass there. But Bars, your number 1 driver in that beautiful green helmet, moving nicely up the field. But unlike we saw in the last race, we have got the first position man, Healy, pulling away with a decent, about 2-second gap in the lead. But otherwise, all following relatively nicely in single file and waiting for those moves. Of course, in these Club 100 carts, they're nice and powerful compared to a Ride-with-Drive kart, but they're still not incredibly crazy on the uptake of power. So it is a lot about carrying that speed through the corners, but the driver's doing that very nicely so far and having some good battles. As there we see the number 1 of Bars going up the inside with that textbook move again, planting it on the inside and moving up into 4th position. But very nice from him. Number 73 is going to look to take it back up the inside, having a little bit of argy-bargy there, but Bars lovely under brakes there, as we say, getting it sideways, perfectly weighted and nicely done. Up into 4th position as he continues to move ahead. He's going to hunt down number 41 now. That's Mr. Collier, as he's slightly falling off the man in second place, Westwood. But he's proving some very good battles here.
Yeah, absolutely. Reigning champion, of course, in this lightweight category is Mr. Bars, so one would expect him to make hay here and get himself up through the field. We haven't really spoken yet about championship standings coming into the day, other than to acknowledge Jack O'Neill in first place, but it is Ed Bars, the reigning champion, who is in second in the championship coming today, but he does really need to take up the gauntlet that's been thrown to him by Jack O'Neill today if he's going to start getting the momentum that's going to start challenging at the front. Do not get me wrong, the man is driving brilliantly, but he's really got to just convert a few more his finals results, which there are championship points awarded in these heats, don't forget. 20 points for the win, 19 for second, 18 for third, and so on. But the big points are in the finals, and so far this year in the trophy finals, he's had a fifth, a fourth, and 2/3, which is a great scoreline. But as he's got past here, Matthew Collier for third.
Collier put up a great fight there,
Yeah.
but just able to send it again. Another one of the textbook moves on the inside of the stadium.
And behind as well here, it looks like Andrew Ward has now got by Charlie Monk. If I didn't mention it earlier, the onboard lap that we were showing you at the start of the day was on board with Andrew Ward, which was, if I can give, we are the Double Dash Motorsport Media comms team, we should give a bit of acknowledgement, gave Double Dash Motorsport Media Barnstable was their first class pole in Club 100 Endurances yesterday, so good lap, Wardy, well done. And I'm glad I didn't waste the opportunity you gave us with that brilliant qualifying, because we managed to take over the podium as well. So there you go. We do string it together sometimes in DDMF. But this is Dan Healy, your race leader, who's checked out a little bit on this one. 2.7 seconds to the good over Stephen Westwood, who's now defending against Ed Bars. Go on, John.
Stephen Westwood has just actually got a cone penalty, so it means he's going to drop from second place to third at the end of the race, which means some extra points of Bars, which is great for him, as you say, in that championship fight.
Yep, absolutely. Good drive so far from Andrew Bushell as well, we should acknowledge. The only C3 runner in the top 10. Just been passed by Dante Dillon, but remember Dillon's carrying that bumper pass penalty, so he will be docked 4 positions, so there's going to be some points awarded there to some of our Class 3 runners.
I thought 4 positions was a toughie in BUKC, where you've got like 36 people on the grid, let alone when it's a small grid like this. That is so frustrating to losing that many points, but it's a good outing from Dante, and he's just getting used to the Club 100 kart, so I wish him all the best.
Absolutely. Because we got into the first heat quite quickly, we keep remembering all these bits we need to explain. The random grid positions for these drivers, which means that across their 3 heat, they all have the same average grid slot. I know that's a bit weird one to say as we go on the last lap, but just as I remember it, that's how the grids are determined, and then obviously the grids for the finals will be determined on the points accrued throughout these heats. As this is Westwood here in second place, being hunted down, one has to say, by Ed Bars here, although Westwood's been having some good pace this race, but Ed Bars has just set the fastest lap of the race, 42.8, which is a very tasty lap there. As behind them as well, Collier at the moment under pressure from Ward, and then Monk here, Charlie Monk in the 73, defending against Sam Slater and Chris Lewis-Evans. But it is going to be just ahead of these two here, Dan Healy, who comes across the line to take the win for heat number 4 to bring our first rotation of heats to a close. Good win for Healy, just controlled it all the way through. Westwood in second, the highest of your Class 2 runners. Ed Bars in third, Matt Collier in fourth, Ward in fifth, Chris Lewis-Evans in 6th, Dante Dillon in 7th, but with a penalty to be applied. Sam Slater in 8th on the road, Charlie Monk in 9th, Andrew Bushell, your highest placed Class 3 runner, and rounding out the top 10. There we go, all of our lightweights have had at least one race, and we're going to go straight into our second rotation. Heat 5 coming out onto track next.
And here we go for heat number 5, our second rotation of the day. And it's Alistair Irvine taking up pole with Steph Theodoro on second. Then Ramunas Sirkausas, I hope I pronounced that correctly, on third. Then Jason Bradbury on fourth. Adrian Mertens on fifth. And Tony Philbin in sixth. Then we got Greg Smith in 7th with Darren Teal alongside him in 8th. Then Rihanna Percox on the row behind with Bailey Morgan alongside. Then Dominic Cliff in 11th with Aaron Stillwell on 12th. Finn Farrell on 13th with Joe Ratcliffe alongside. Then Peter Elliott, Aidan Rudge, and then Justin Draper finishing off the grid as we're going to begin straight away.
Yeah, nicely done, nicely timed, mate. Alistair Irvin then in that 36 leading them away as they head towards stadium for the first time. Jason Bradbury in the 17 there looking to capitalise on the inside if possible through stadium corner, and he's going to make the move stick against Steph Theodoru there in the 85. So nice start there for Bradbury, who I think this is his highest grid slot of the heat, so he'll be looking to make the most of it. As Adrian Mertens is going 3 wide there into hairpin 1 with the likes of Sakauskas. And I think it might have been Philbin, the other driver involved there, as the 6 of Daz Teal is trying to make early progress as well. Just getting by Adrian Mertens as they go down the back straight, as Rihanna Percox slots in behind him as they head into Complex Nouvelle for the first time of this race. There is a track limit warning for Greg Smith, as there is also for Daz Teal, so they're going to need to be careful there. I wonder if they went off wide in hairpin 1 in avoidance. We did see a couple of drivers doing that. This is Teal now at the back of Ramanas Sakauskas in that number 13 kart as Mertens slides it. That was rally-esque through his line there into stadium, but I'm not sure it's paid off because Rihanna Percox in the 5 has now, she gets a bit of a hit up the rear there under braking as that's Bailey Morgan as well getting by on Adrian Mertens.
Are there extra championship points for a perfect drift?
No, I did check. I did check as Sakauskas defending hard here against Daz Teal. Wrenching open a slot there was Daz Teal. That was robust but fair, I think, to open up the door and get the job done. And Rihanna Percox capitalised as well, following Teal through. You'll often see this with some of these Class 1 runners who are like, right, we've got to work together to get our way on up through the field, and then we can worry about battling between each other perhaps later on. Or maybe Percox doesn't want to think that way and is going to go down the inside of Daz Teal. Textbook move there on the brakes, very strong on the brakes there to take that position off of Daz Teal. That's 5th place he's up into now. As further back, that's the 111 of Draper having a look at Philbin there, but I don't think it's paid off, and it's going to allow Aidan Rudge to get the spot of 12th, I think it is.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to work together, but other times you're just got to say, sorry mate, I'm faster than you, I'm coming through.
Yeah, and these are, as I'm sure everyone's experiencing, these are coming thick and fast, these heats, so they've really got to, make your intention clear. Support coming in for Daz Teal from Jay Elliott. Good to know you're watching, mate. As down the inside goes Greg Smith, which gives me a perfect opportunity. Does he make the move stick? Theodoru is going to go off in avoidance. That's going to be somewhat controversial as he's managed to keep his foot in it. They're still side by side, actually, as they come down this straight. So good little battle here between Smith and the 98, Theodoru in the 85, and Smith is going to stamp for the authority on the inside of Complex Nouvelle, but I'm not convinced that Theodoru's done yet. They're both holding each other up a fair bit with this fight, but it's going the way of Greg Smith there. I'm going to take the opportunity to say hello to Carol Smith, who has told us that she's supporting Greg. Hope you're enjoying it, Carol. I hope you've had a chance to go back and watch Heat 1 maybe. Driving well is Greg Smith, our Class 3 champion from last season in this lightweights category, now showing very nicely in the Class 2 championship this year. Rihanna Percox now in that number 5, the blue, pink and yellow helmet there, having a look at the rear of Steph Theodoru. 3.5 minutes to go in this one. Irvin, your leader, by some 1.6 seconds ahead of Jason Bradbury and Greg Smith in 3rd.
I was going to say Alistair doing a fantastic job at commanding this race so far. 1.5 seconds in the lead, not getting worried about any of those battles at the first corner, just carrying on, doing his race and doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, Percox had a very earnest look there, I think, at the inside of Theodoru into stadium, but couldn't quite get enough of an advantage to bring it home. Daz Teal under pressure from Bailey Morgan, and then this next group, you could just see them there coming into the shot, was the number 13 of Ramanas Sakauskas, leading the likes of Aaron Stillwell, Justin Draper and Adrian Mertens. So good little battles. They've all sort of grouped off in this one, except for at the front, where Irvin has that gap ahead of Bradbury, ahead of Smith.
Yeah, clearly...
home penalty for Bradbury as well, so that's one position to be deducted from wherever he finishes.
It's going to be frustrating for him, but yeah, clearly, Carol, your support is really helping Mr. Smith as he's pulled away from this little group. Him and Theodora had a nice little ding-dong battle earlier, but he's pulled away, putting in good pace. Still a little bit of time off the number 17 of Bradbury, but as you say, it's a penalty. As number 5 sends up the inside, that's Percott's making the move, but Theodora with the cutback retakes the position, and there's a nice little battle going on here for 4th position, as it looks like Percott's going to try and get it off the exit there. Don't think it's quite going to work, as no, Theodora pulls back over to the racing line, and they're going to have to follow each other back through this section of the track.
Yeah, I always love the cat and mouse that you get out that second hairpin, because even if you've been the kart, even if you're the kart doing the cutback out of that corner, the other kart has more runoff to sort of accelerate the kart on, so it can really get quite tight as they head towards pylon, and you have to work it out. It's really tough to go through that bit side by side, the next section, so it's always interesting. Bradbury there in the 17, and look at this going on the defensive is Theodoru there. That's some late moves for defence there, including by Daz Teal in the background. Bailey Morgan has to duck out of putting a move on him because, as I say, there's this kink in the straight between the 2 hairpins where it sort of kinks to the right slightly. So if you're on the driver's left coming out of hairpin 1, you've got to have your wits about you, because you can run out of room as they're all sliding around there, and Percox is put out wide, and that allows Daz Teal to take the move.
Percox went a little bit deep into that right-hander there, gave a little bit of a bump to the rear end of Theodoru, but that sent her wide and allowed for the number 6 of Teal to dive up the inside.
It allows him to take the position and make the move, Howard. Come on. You can take the move if you want. Greg Smith closing in on the back of Bradbury ahead of him, as Percox is going to go back at Daz Teal. Teal's not happy with that, and Bailey Morgan's going to look to capitalise here. He is given enough room on driver's left there. Percox is going to have the inside, but she's going to be compromised on exit, and look at Daz Teal. He's going to read the situation to open up the door. Is he going to have his nose far enough ahead to work it through pylon? No, he's not. So Percox is going to hold on for now as Irvin comes through the final corner to start. Will it be the final lap this time? We'll have a look. Yes, it is. So Alistair Irvin, we haven't seen much of him.
As I say, he's just been doing a great race out front.
He's been doing exactly what he needed to do, controlling this one at the front. Now 3 seconds to the good. There is a bit of a fight to be had over second place. Here it is. Although bear in mind Bradbury has the penalty, so perhaps unbeknownst to Greg, this one will go his way anyway. So hopefully he doesn't do some, really bold move, as the fight behind them. Here it is, coming out of hairpin 2. Theodoru still at the head of this. 3 wide between Morgan, Teal and Percox. Percox is going to swoop across to defend here, but it's Bailey and Daz going side by side. Alistair Irvin is going to come round paddock now and take the win for heat number 5. Good controlled race there from Alistair Irvin. Jason Bradbury will hold on for second. It's a great result there for Greg Smith. You may well punch the air, sir. That was a good drive for you. It's net second once penalties are applied. Theodoru, brilliant job defending. You can defend around this Rye House circuit, and that was a good lesson in it from Steph Theodoru. Rihanna Percox in 5th. Bailey Morgan did get by Daz Teal there. Justin Draper, the highest place, your Class 3 runners in the Triple One. Adrian Mertens and Aaron Stillwell rounding out your top 10 there. That was a good race there, John. I think that one was really good fun, as we're going to go immediately into heat number 6. Let's have a look at your grid then for heat number 6, which will take us to the halfway mark of our lightweight heats for today. Keith Segal with a huge amount of experience there in Club 100 machinery starting on pole. Sam Slater, our lightweight champion in the British Indoors Karting Championship for 2020 on that first row. Andrew Ward and Ed Bars on row 2. Thomas Barrett and Chris Woodger on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Dan Cohen and Eamon Sleer, with Jed Toole and James Martin on row 5. Row 6 will be Stephen Westwood and James Dunnett. Row 7 is going to be Sam Morris and Matthew Cliff. David Hamer and Peter Sharp are row 8, and row 9, rounding out the 18 carts, is Amy Breacher and Matt Hugo. That's how they line up for your 6th race of the day, your 6th heat of this 5th round of the 2021 Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championship, with Keith Segal on your left as you're looking at it, and it's going to be Sam Slater alongside. We're away, John.
Let's see what Sam can do. I believe he is on the the inside for, no, the outside for turn one, my apologies. Can he hold it round the outside in that green helmet? Looks like he could do on exit. No, he's going to get squeezed out wide, and number 46 is actually going to steal his second place away, as there is a little bit of argy-bargy. Number 58 locking up the rear end. He's going to go sideways, and who's that on the outside? The number 1 of Ed Bars with a fantastic move around the outside, taking it up into second place. He's going to be able to hold it up the inside for that right-hander as well. What an incredible start. We're 4 wide going down this part of the track. That's not going to end well. The car's getting all tangled up, but managing to keep it on the black stuff just about. And number 1, Ed Bars, takes it on exit there, the right-hander. Number 58 dropping down into second. It was a good start from him, but not able to keep Mr. Bars behind. What a first lap.
That was a really good one there. I felt a little bit nervous for my fellow DDM Barstools driver there, Mr. Waters. He was on the outside of the 4 coming onto the back straight, but managed to hold it together and looks there like he's been able to hold against I think that's Dan Cohen, who's coming up through the field. Indeed, he's now down the inside here of Keith Segal, who gets a nasty hit on the rear there, but manages to keep going through hairpin 1. It is a little bit frenetic at the start of this one. I thought James Martin kept it very cool and chill on the far right of that 4 wide battle as well. He just went, yeah, I can run it over these curbs, no problem. They're actually quite bumpy, those curbs, so he kept his cool there. It is Ed Bars, though, ahead of Andrew Ward, as it will be scored across the line this time around. You can look for your timing tower adjusting, as Keith Segal has dropped a few positions on that lap in the number 58, now under pressure from the 1-2-2 of Eamon Salir, I believe, and Salir not able to make it stick that time around. Has to pick his moment carefully because he has Jed Toole in his wheel tracks as well. There's Chris Woodger in the 1-1-4 with James Martin as well, working together. Keith Segal again has a move here done. I think he's feeling a little bit punch drunk in that corner. He's now got Amy Breacher having a look as well. It's getting very tight here as the 76 of Peter Sharp as well looking to capitalise. They've all got to be careful and give themselves racing room down this back straight. We're down into our some of our Class 3 runners here, and there's a spin there at the back. I'll have to catch who that's for. It's the 70, which means it's Matt Hugo who's spun round there, but he has now got going again. So unfortunate for him. But yeah, just a little bit frenetic these last few laps, particularly amongst our Class 3 runners here towards the back of the field.
Yeah, number 58, Segal, I believe that was how you pronounced it, yeah. He was getting slightly frustrated with the contact there. He's had to deal with a lot of contact. I can't lie that I've seen through this race. So fair enough, he's getting a bit frustrated, and there's still battling going on. Who's that in the blue suit, sending it up the inside? That's a number 32. That is Mr. Morris, as they're going to go 3 wide again. But a lovely cutback and taking the exit of the corner there, as we look back to nearer the front of the field.
Yep, this is Woodger and Martin working together, I think, to try and get themselves onto the back of Sam Slater in the battle over 4th place. And yeah, it was indeed Sam Morris putting the move in on Amy Breacher for 11th place there. As there is Segal. It's now calmed down a little bit for the number 58 driver, but he was starting on pole. I think he knew that there was going to be a fair amount of defensive driving in the first few laps, but yeah, going to be interesting to see how they get on. Woodger here and Martin. Woodger with that sort of blue ripple effect helmet, I suppose you'd say, and Martin with the green helmet. There's Amy Breacher now defending against Stephen Westwood in the 81.
And with it being slightly more of an elbows out race, we have got a few penalties to speak of. James Martin getting an ABkC bump and pass, a cone penalty for James Dunnett. Then we've got a contact penalty for Thomas Barrett and an FDW for Eamon Salee. What's an FDW, sir?
Forced driver wide.
Ah, okay. So I believe that's
it's
one
like
position, is it?
Is
that
I think it's 2. Ooh. Off the top of my head. I don't quote me on that, but as down the inside of Woodger goes James Martin. I don't know if that was a big loss of pace there for Woodger through the hairpin. He just seemed to stall almost on the spot, but yeah, no, James Martin getting by there and up into 5th place. Hello to Jennifer Tompkins, who says, come on, Amy. So surely supporting the number 59 there, Amy Breacher. Currently trying to get that position back off of Sam Morris there in the battle over 11th place. Still doing well to defend against Stephen Westwood, who, if memory serves correctly, was doing a fair amount of his own defence earlier in his earlier heat, because he had a higher grid slow in that one, and so he was trying to do the defensive drive. There's James Martin and Woodger again, and then there's the 75 of Jed Toole, Thomas Barrett then, and then here's the train with Keith Segal at the front of it, Peter Sharp behind him, Sam Morris, Amy Breacher, Stephen Westwood, Eamon Salir, as there's a little bit of nerving onto the grass for the 76, well held there for Peter Sharp. That's what I'm talking about that kink on the back straight. That's the first time we've seen it come into effect. You've got to respect that that straight isn't entirely straight and give the other driver room if they're coming through on the left. But equally, if you're the driver trying to do that, you've got to be aware that they might not do that for you. And if you do that, you're going to dip your two wheels onto the grass. As Breacher here looking at it, look down the inside into Stadium, but Segal is going to hold on to it on the round the outside and hold on to it for now. So she's going to have to pick a different moment here as Peter Sharp in the background trying to make progress back up the field. I think that was just getting past, I think it might have been James Dunnett that we just saw him doing a move in the background there. At the front of the field, still Ed Bars, 2.5 seconds to the good over Andrew Ward. Dan Cohen in third place at the moment. Looking fairly well here, because Cohen had the pole for his first heat and I think was able to convert that quite well. So doing well so far is the driver in the number 34. We're here again with Segal defending, and this time it's Westwood having a look at Breacher through down the inside into Stadium, but can't make it stick. But Segal, I know, to take it a slightly tighter line out of Stadium, it might mean he's under pressure in this hairpin.
Thought he might, or I thought that Breacher might look for the inside there, but managing to keep onto position as there's a little bit of fighting going on behind. This four-way battle being the best out there on track. The leaders, as you say, with a couple of seconds between them, just doing their own races, able to pick up some good points. But down here in 10th, this is the best battle on the track for now, as we've got Breacher pressuring Segal with I believe that's Morris now just behind her, is it? Or is it Westwood? But we're looking back forwards to 51 now. This is Slater, one of our BIKC boys, under a lot of pressure from Martin in the 64 kart. Martin goes deep, going to try and cut it back. There's going to be on the outside for this right-hander. Can he do the same again, cutting it back to get a good exit? No, he's going to try and hold it around the outside. Can he get the power down? Yes, he can. A lovely move. Slater frustrated with himself there to lose the position, but what can you really do on that one?
Brilliantly judged, but it is Ed Bars who's going to cross the line. In fact, I think he just has crossed the line to take the win in this one. There he is. Andrew Ward will finish second in the number 46 there. Good drive for him. Dan Cohen in third. Sam Slater is passed by James Martin on that last lap, so fourth place for Martin. Slater in fifth. Chris Woodger, Jed Toole and Thomas Barrett. And look at this across the line. It's a drag race between Breacher and Segal, and it's going to go the way of Segal by... Goodness me, that was 7/100ths of a second between those two across the line to round out your top 10. So brilliant stuff. Just goes to show how there are battles all the way through the field here in Club 100. Another really nice heat that. We're going to look straight ahead now to heat number 7. Let's take a look then at your grid for heat number 7. It's going to be Oscar Lancaster on pole with this one, with Ned Douglas alongside Peter Knight and Callum Bruhl on row 2, Reese Pope and Ashley White on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Mike Coppin and Andrew Rabbage. Christopher Powell and Rob Langthorpe round out your top 10 with Hussein Rashid and Alex Brandon on row 6. Row 7 will be Jagjit Singh and Tim Clark. Bryn Alban and Andrew Bushell are row 8. Row 9 is going to be Liam Rogers and Sean Glennon, and this one is a 19 kart grid for this one, so it'll be Simon Sharp to round out our 19 karts on the grid.
An extra driver for this one, as you say, should hopefully make it more interesting. The more karts on track, the better. As here we see them being very good boys, keeping it slow for the start. And there we go, revs rising, and we're underway. The green helmet looks to cover off on the inside, not able to do so. This is going to lose out a lot of positions there into the first corner, dropping down to around P5, I believe. Yeah, he is indeed down to P5. Not a great start for him, with them almost 3 wide exiting this section. We got the number 3 pressuring the number 102, as they're not pushing each other too much. Not as bad as it was in the last race. A few helmets flying backwards in the last one, but we've been just about okay here. Not too much contact, and some lovely moves going on, as it's almost 5 wide there, exiting the secondary hairpin, as they're going to go side by side for the lead. It's going to push them out wide. Number 3 is going to look to make the most of that, cutting up the inside, not quite able to do so, feeds back into second place. And who is that who's managed to get up to the lead? It's the 10.
It won't be Woodger. It's going to be...
the 109, but he's getting pressured by number 3. Coppin sends up the inside. What a fantastic move from here there.
Indeed, yeah, sorry. I was running 2020 Championship driver numbers through my head then. Yes, Mike Coppin up to the lead there, and Ned Douglas was able to convert that back actually into a decent first lap into third, but he was hung out to dry a little bit at Stadium, but now defending against Peter Knight, Reese Pope as well there, as behind them, Hussein Rashid is having a battle there with the number 10 with Christopher Powell.
Good move there from Peter Knight. Sorry, up
Indeed,
into third position. It was a lovely move into the pylon section. Green helmet of is it Douglas?
Ned Douglas.
Yeah, sorry, Douglas looking to hold it. Not quite able to do so now. Now it's falling into that pack behind. As you say, you got Ian up in the first lap. He's done a good job, kept good pace, and he's now into fourth position. But he's got some huge pressure from Pope. There's a big send. Number 56 up the inside. A little bit of contact, but as they say, rubbing is racing. And look at that from number 3, Coppin under brakes. It's just unbelievable. How can someone have that much car control is just wow. But doing amazingly at the front. Already got half a second lead over Lancaster. But yeah, putting in a solid performance already and some great battles coming up behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as we mentioned, I don't know, you can have the debate whether Mike is he rushing because it's coming home, or is he rushing because of his job potentially being bought? Probably both, to be fair. But doing a great job at the head of the field. And a good pace from Oscar Lancaster, though, to keep within a second of him so far. New fastest lap of the race from Peter Knight, though, in the number 102. In third place is Callum Bruhl there, battling away with, is that him getting through on Ashley White? And now Rob Langthorpe tries to do the same at the hairpin, and I think that's Jagjit Singh as well, trying to get involved with it as well, but it doesn't pay off, and that's going to allow Tim Clark to have a look there in the 96. Bryn Olban is looking to have a go as well. It's all this is all at the head of our Class 3 runners in amongst all of this.
It looks like Ashley White not happy with his kart there, having a little look down at the engine, but seems to have got himself back going again, but lost a number of positions on that lap.
Absolutely. 4 minutes left on the clock then for this 7th heat. We're into the second half of our lightweight rotations as Ashley White on your timing towers drops down the order as side by side there was going Tim Clark. I think it was Jagjit Singh I think he was doing that with as they all head down to the hairpin. We're looking at Peter Knight versus Oscar Lancaster because that is a change for second place there. Knight up into that second position. Is Lancaster going to come back at him? As meanwhile behind them Ned Douglas is defending against the 42 of Reese Pope and the 10 of Hussein Rashid, still able to keep Chris Powell behind him there in their little battle we've been having all race long. Ned Douglas, we've seen some great battles from Ned over the course of this season. Can't miss him in that fluorescent helmet, and yeah, really been battling well. A quick look over his shoulder to check it's all safe and fair game for him to swoop into Stadium another time. As behind him, Powell's now trying to prise open the door on Rashid, but he's not going to make that work, and it's going to drop them off the back of Douglas and Pope once again. And that's allowed Callum Bruhl to arrive on the scene. He's gone, I fancy having a bite of this cherry.
I was going to say, Powell's tried that move previously and it hasn't worked. He's going to drop back another position and gain a contact warning from that. So maybe needs to think of another place to try and attack. But for now, he's lost a little bit of time there. He's going to have to defend.
Current penalty for Hussein Rashid. One position to be deducted from wherever he finishes this one. As Peter Knight leads Oscar Lancaster and everybody else, apart from Mike Coppin, our race leader, out of that final corner. New personal best from Mike Coppin, but new fastest lap of the race from Peter Knight at 43 dead. 1/1000. Oh, Mike, get on it, mate. You're 1/1000th of a second slower than Peter on that lap.
Mate.
I'm not good enough at maths to know how many laps, therefore, Knight needs to reel in Coppin. Well, actually, 1,100. Anyway, so. That's really simple maths out. Ned Douglas and Reese Pope going side by side on the back straight as they head towards pylon. Who's going to win in this one? They're still side by side, and Ned Douglas is going to shut the door there on Reese Pope. Robust defence there, and I think Pope isn't too happy with that, but I think that was just on the limit of going, no, this is my position, and I'm going to resume that racing line in Complex Nouvelle and take the apex. Thank you very much, Rashid. In the sandwich at the moment, looking at the back of Pope, having Chris Powell behind him. With the pressure being applied there. Oscar Lancaster by himself there, kind of quiet. Ned Douglas having to defend like crazy now from Reese Pope through that first hairpin. 90 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, as you were saying with that move earlier, was relatively robust. I thought Douglas might get spun around, but not happened. It's number 56, that's Powell going up the inside of Rashid on the exit there. But as we say, Rashid already with a penalty, so dropping down further is not going to be helping out his championship points.
Absolutely.
This battle hotting up now. Douglas and Pope having a nice little ding-dong battle, but their defending is allowing for this group of 3, almost 4 karts now, to be trading them, looking for those extra points positions. But Douglas relatively able to hold him there. He's going to look to the inside because Pope got a cheeky little exit there out of the stadium section, but all kind of staying similar for now anyway, as he gives a little look over his shoulder, goes defensive again. That's going to allow for Pope to get a good exit. He's going to have to move to the outside, is he? Because good defense from Douglas again, but all still jostling, jinking around behind them, seeing what they can do, as we say, going on to the final lap now, I do believe. So all to play for, not many corners to go.
No, absolutely. Can just say as well, seeing out the window, brilliant battle going on between Bryn Alban and Andrew Ravage as well over 11th place. So battles all the way throughout the field, as indeed, as John says, we are on the last lap. Another fastest lap of the race from Peter Knight, nearly cracks past that 43 second, but it's 0.6 of a second he is behind Mike Coppin, but it's not going to be enough. He's really tried to catch onto the back of the leader, but our attentions are down here where Rhys Pope is coming under pressure from Christopher Powell through the hairpin. Has Pope been able to prise open the door? This is where you have to give racing room, and he's got just the limit of that from Rhys Pope, but he's going to be forced out wide. Rashid, who remember has a cone penalty to be applied, is going to try and look down the inside, but Pope again, Powell is going to slam the door shut. We look though to the final corner because it is coming across the line now. Mike Coppin is going to take his second win of the day, with Peter Knight in second, Oscar Lancaster in third, Ned Douglas in fourth, Rhys Pope in fifth, Powell sixth, Rashid with the one-place penalty to be applied, Bruhl, Langthorpe and Jagjit Singh, the highest placed in Class 3 runners, rounding out your top 10. Good race from him there. Great battling throughout the field. They got a little bit frenetic at times, but on the whole, I think we're being treated to some fantastic battles throughout the day as we look ahead to heat number 8.
And here we go for heat number 8. Got to be quick because they're already lining up. We've got Dan Seeger on pole with Jack O'Neill on second. Joshua Sangster on third with Pietro Pagano, the number 69 there again in fourth. Charlie Monk on fifth and Dan Healy on sixth. Then we've got Matt Collier seventh with our ABkC man, or one of them, Dante Dillon on eighth. Then Cameron Williams and Josh Adams. And behind them is Chris Lewis Evans and Luke Dunnett. Then Bartek Barakonski and Samuel Essery. Then Russell Cooper, Matthew Cockerham on the row behind. Then Dean Everest and Rob Kassam. And then rounding out the grid is James Browning.
Thank you, John. John Ratcliffe alongside myself, Howard Mitchell, your DDMM commentary team for this round 5 coverage, courtesy of Alpha Light for the Club 100 Sprints. We've got lightweights and heavyweights today, so plenty of action. The 28 of Dan Seeger on your left, the 99 championship leader of Jack O'Neill on your right. You can see him watching like a hawk there when the pole sitter puts his foot pedal to the metal, and away we go into this 8th heat of the day. Jack O'Neill swoops across, manages to close the door. You can see Pietro Pagano as well trying to make early progress as well there in the 69, but at the moment it is the 45 of Joshua Sangster who holds on to third place as they go through. There is a spin at the back at the hairpin there. We'll check who that is on timing as they come through. All of the rest of the field though navigating their way through hairpin 2 at the moment. Dan Healy right in the mix of it. Dante Dillon alongside him in the 50 there as they head down the back straight and into the pylon and complex Nouvelle section for the first time. Good start from Dan Seeger from pole here, has been able to keep a charging Jack O'Neill behind him. I have to say the smart money would be on O'Neill for this one, such as the way he's been driving, but time will tell on that one.
It was Chris Lewis Evans that had the spin there for straight for him.
Okay, unfortunate for him there. He's now just going to have to do his best to get onto the back of this pack as Dan Healy is trying to find a way past Dante Dillon here, and he's going to open up the door there. Is Dante going to keep it to the left of the tyres? Yes, he is, but it's going to allow Josh Adams in the number 9 through as well there. As behind him, he almost gets collected by Matt Collier. And I think that's Sam Essery having a battle as well as they come through.
I see what you mean about the bumpy curves there. Dante getting squeezed slightly wide and then suddenly, whoa, he's everywhere.
Yeah, the apex of hairpin 2 is a tough one because you want to get that early apex bang on, but if your car hits that curve, you'll be forced wide just a little bit and you'll be bumping around on exit. Leaves you really exposed coming onto that back straight. A really good, important spot there. Dan Healy now chasing Josh Sangster in that 45 kart, as at the front here, Dan Seeger coming under pressure from Jack O'Neill.
As Healy and Adams side by side into the second hairpin. Healy's going to have it, but it's going to be a send up the inside from number 45. That's Sangster. And number 9, I believe, of Adams is going to be able to get a good exit. And Dante Dillon's pressuring behind. He's going to look for up the inside there. A lovely decisive move. Can he hold it? There's a little bit of argy-bargy. I'm not sure he's going to get the exit speed. He might have to follow him behind. He is indeed.
He was actually defending that. I think that was Essery taking it off of him. So really bold move, effectively around the outside of Complex Nouvelle from Essery there.
I wasn't expecting it.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you wouldn't have looked. If you'd have looked at a snapshot, you'd have assumed the way you did, definitely. As O'Neill for the lead here, having a look at Dan Seeger, but Seeger positioning his kart well there just to deter the move into hairpin 1. It's allowing Pietro Pagano to come into play here. Pagano very successful in this lightweight category in his own right, as they're side by side though for the lead of the race. Will O'Neill be able to bring this through? No, Seeger's going to close the door, and Pagano can smell the opportunity here with O'Neill. Is he going to have to, yeah, don't put your nose somewhere where it's going to get the door closed on it though. As they come round, this is going to be an interesting one. O'Neill, I think, is going to have a good run towards this first few corners.
Yeah, they've got to be smart about this. As you say, O'Neill with a fantastic record, doesn't want to throw that away, and Pagano knows that as well. He needs the good points for finishing up in 3rd for this race, so doesn't want to get in any kind of opportunity that could mean a tangle between the karts, as that always ends badly. As here we go, O'Neill looking for the cutback. He's going to be on the outside for the second right-hander again. But Seeger holding it well, as there we go.
That's
Pagano send up the inside, but he's going to land back through. He understood there was a bit too much contact in that one, and drops back to the position as O'Neill. He's going to make the most of that, dives up the inside, makes it to first position. Lovely under brakes there, and he's through up into the lead. Can he now pull ahead and secure that first position?
Yeah, well-read situation there from Jack O'Neill, what we've come to expect of him. Question coming in, by the way, which I think is being answered by people within the comments, of what age group is this? Is it just 16 plus? As Pagano there up the inside of Seeger through the stadium section. 16 plus being given as an answer. Yeah, that's generally true, but I believe we've seen drivers as young as 14 given dispensation to race. And of course, the big thing that changed last year was the Young Drivers' Championship got underway. So I don't want to misquote the exact age ranges for that, but definitely get on to club100.co.uk and check out the exact details of that. If you're a young driver looking to get involved in the fastest arrive and drive karts in the UK, head over to Club 100. Give JV a call. John Viger, the man at the top of all things Club 100. Give the office a call. You'll talk to himself, or possibly to Penny as well. They're very helpful. The number of times I've called them and they've just helped with my query, they're really helpful, really friendly. Give them a call and see how you can get involved, because they really are fantastic cars to drive. These 2-stroke Club 100 karts.
Club 100 making some fantastic opportunities, especially, as you say, for younger drivers. We've got Club 100 young drivers, and obviously, as we spoke about earlier, partnering up with ABkC as well. So loads of opportunities for you to get involved if you are younger. I wish I'd had all this when we were kids, mate. It would have been epic, but there we are. We've just had to settle with being bad drivers. Well, speaking for myself, not you, mate. You did incredible yesterday, so I can't say that.
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I'll probably look myself in the same category. Charlie Monk having a look at Dan Seeger now. Now it's starting to get, I know they're all scored together, but now it's for who's the top Class 2 driver in the field. And that's always a bit of a feather in the cap, with Dan Healy now on the tail of these two, looking for the opportunity as well to try and gain some extra points.
Also, got to say, Monk with a very fitting helmet for today. Cheeky,
I agree.
Cheeky English flag on it. Love to see that, because of course it is coming home.
It is.
I have been told by someone that it is coming home, I believe.
Yeah, I saw it signposted. Dante Dillon with the fastest lap of the race, a 42.856 in his pursuit of Sam Essery.
As Healy goes for the move up the inside. There we are watching it on stream. Fantastic move from him. 73 from Monk, trying to get the switchback with a beautiful English helmet. Not likely he's going to be able to do that, as they do make a little bit of contact. As number 2 puts his hand up, says sorry for that one, apologises, and moves on up into 4th position.
I think Sam Essery in 7th might, apologies if this is wrong, I think that's the highest we've seen a Class 3 runner so far today, so really good drive.
He was having a fantastic drive in his previous race as well.
Absolutely.
Very impressive.
Absolutely. So, it's really good stuff from him so far, as we're on the last tour of the circuit for this 8th heat. This is the last of this second rotation. Rotations are 4 heats, 3 rotations, 12 heats. Each driver competes once in each rotation. That's the easy way to remember it. if that was easy. Josh Adams defending against Sam Essery here as they head towards hairpin 2. Is he going to give room to Essery? Yes, Essery is well placed here to get the switch back on Adams onto the back straight, and he is going to have the overspeed. I would have thought that he's going to be able to bring this one home. Yes, he is. And Dante Dillon, is he going to have opportunity to capitalise here? We do need to take a look, though, at start-finish straight, because it is now Jack O'Neill who's going to come round to take the win. There he is in the 99, taking the heat win. Pietro Pagano in second. Dan Seeger did well there, holding on to third place. Dan Healy in fourth. Charlie Monk in fifth. Sam Essery, hat off to you, sir, in sixth place. High City Class 3 runners. Josh Adams, Dante Dillon, Matthew Cockram, and Matt Collier rounding out your top 10. That was rotation number 2. We're going to go straight into heat number 9. Heat number 9 then for round 5 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprint Championship for 2021. Rob Langthorpe will be starting this one from pole with Bailey Morgan alongside Andrew Ravage and Chris Powell on row 2. Jason Bradbury and Sam Slater make up row number 3. Oscar Lancaster and Andrew Ward will be row 4. Eamon Sleer and Reese Pope round out the top 10 with Chris Woodger and Justin Draper on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Amy Breacher and Alex Brandon. Aaron Stillwell and Peter Elliott are row 8, with row 9 of this 18-car grid made up by David Hamer and Bryn Alban. And that went rather well, if I do say so myself, because we're rounding the final corner now. We're going to be good for the start. Rob Langthorpe on your left in the yellow and red helmet. The young Bailey Morgan on the right there. Eyes and lights, engine notes rise, and away we go, heading towards stadium. It's a good start from the pole side of the grid. It looks to me like Andrew Ravage is going to try and muscle his way through on the inside, but Bailey Morgan does well to hold off, and Jason Bradbury as well, holding off the likes of Christopher Powell there for 4th place. They head down to hairpin 1. Bailey Morgan has a look at Rob Langthorpe there on the inside, but can't find a way through, and that is Oscar Lancaster finding his way back onto the road just ahead of Sam Slater, as they all have a little bit of bumping and barging through hairpin 2. Yeah, usual jostling for position there. Andrew Ward going side by side with, I think it might be, I'll have to double check who's going side by side with, actually.
White helmet going
squeezed
so out wide there. I'm not sure who that was though. 114, so I believe. I think that was Chris Woodger.
That would be Woodger, who in this bright sunlight here, actually his helmet could look completely white. Jason Bradbury in the wheel tracks of Andrew Ravage. And Bailey Morgan has got by on Rob Langthorpe. I'm not sure we covered that one. Apologies if we missed that, but there it is. Number 14 of Bailey Morgan ahead of Rob Langthorpe now, as Jason Bradbury behind goes down the inside of Andrew Ravage. Is he going to be able to make that move stick? He's got the attentions as well of Christopher Powell in the 56. Oscar Lancaster now alongside the 56 of Chris Powell, with Sam Slater there in his high-vis colours there looking to capitalise, and he is going to be able to go down the inside of Christopher Powell and get side by side with Oscar Lancaster. Andrew Ward now trying to get involved, and this is a disastrous lap for Chris Powell. He's just been taken off the line, and as is so often the way in sprint racing, if you lose out, there's a penalty for Justin Draper as well, which is for bump and passer. 4 positions to be docked from the end of his race result, as Morgan's going defensive against Langthorpe. And I think that was Langthorpe saying, don't worry about me, we're working together for now. You just keep your eyes forward. But yeah, not a good lap there for Christopher Powell. That's so often the case that if you get pushed offline, you're not going to lose 1 place, you're going to lose 4 or 5. Such is the nature of kart sprint racing in Club 100.
He got absolutely hung out to dry there. 2 sections of the track in a row. There's a bit of a send up the inside there from number 114. As you say, what I thought was an all-white helmet turns out actually is blue and white. So that's Woodger going up the inside, a decisive move to get up into the top 10 there. As we look forward to number 17. Who is that? We got Bradbury in 3rd, being followed by Ravage. As we look back to number 51, that is Mr. Slater, one of our ABkC lads. In that, I do like his helmet suit combo there. It's very, very sexy little combo. So he's looking very good out there on track and doing very well up in 6th position as he goes for the move into the 2nd hairpin. But he's going to go deep. Number 109 is going to be able to get the switch back as there he goes. Human DRS, can he do it? It seems like it's helping, and it is. And who is that as well going to follow him through?
That's Andrew Ward in the 46.
And 42 as well.
Reese Pope there as well, yeah, absolutely having a look, but I think Lancaster's going to come back at him and he's going to hold off. He's going to stop the flow, as it were, because, as I say, he'd had that rhythm upset. For the lead, side by side through stadium now goes Rob Langthorpe down the inside of Bailey Morgan. Is Bailey Morgan going to be able to switch back at the 2nd apex and have a look again? We saw him very confident on the brakes into hairpin 1, Rob Langthorpe gives the gesticulation to say, let's work together here, mate. I'm not sure how compliant Morgan is feeling at the moment. That was a lovely little exchange, though, and saw the number 12 of Langthorpe back up into the top spot. Side by side, they'll go on the back straight, but I think Langthorpe got a good enough run off the corner so they'll be able to hold on to it for now.
Lovely little battle there. We love to see a battle for the lead. As you were saying, just stick. Well, I forgot my words. Telling him to be like, no, mate, come on, let's work together, let's move forward. We've got number 17 and number 61 of Bradbury and Rabbage breathing down their neck, as there we go. We've got another penalty come through. Who was that for?
It's Alex Brandon. It's an ABC takeout, which does not mean he's ordered cod and chips. It means that he's taken out another driver, so it's going to be a fairly hefty penalty. I'm going to assume from the way that he's dropped to the back of the pack that it is Justin Draper who was the victim of that taking out.
Oh dear, not great for him as we continue to look at this battle for the lead. And as I was saying, they have kind of worked together, but I don't think that's out of choice from Morgan. I think Langthorpe has just got some incredible pace, and it's just about starting to build up that gap. But can Bradbury and Rabbage, are they able to join up to this pack and make it a four-way battle for the lead? We've still got a couple of minutes to go, so it's definitely a possibility.
It says on YouTube, perfect execution of the elusive human DRS. Yes, agreed. As Andrew Ward there goes down the inside of Sam Slater.
Great move.
Really nice move from Andrew Ward, driving well so far today. As Rhys Pope now will be the next to have a look at Sam Slater.
A little too far back this time around.
It is a good combination. My head, no disrespect to Sam, gone for some good colours. My head does just have to do a brief "it's not Ed Bars" check. That's just that's just me as someone who spends probably too much time looking at all these helmet and suit combinations to try and learn the drivers. Rob Langthorpe still leading this one ahead of Bailey Morgan. For now, Jason Bradbury there, new fastest lap of the race, is trying to get onto terms, which is immediately beaten by Andrew Ward there, a 43.1, so good pace here in the top pack. And the driver I didn't mention amongst the top five there, Andrew Rabbage, having a really good drive at the moment there in the number 61 car. And Bailey Morgan still having a look now. Rob Langthorpe, this is a little bit early for me, John, for the gloves to come off between these two, because they're going to give the opportunity to Bradbury in that number 17 and possibly even to Rabbage as well. So I don't know, this is early doors to be breaking up. Well, I say working together. They haven't really worked together that much throughout the race, actually, but the general sprint theory, you work together to open a gap and allow yourself the space to fight, the room to fight towards the end, hasn't quite been observed. I reckon we've got 2 more laps of this one left.
Yeah, I do have to apologise to Bailey Morgan. I thought that Langthorpe was pulling away a little bit, but that has definitely not happened. Morgan right on the rear end, and is going to look for a move here. Are they? Yes, they are. What a send up the inside. Use a little bit of argy-bargy on exit. Not able to make it happen, though, and this is allowed for Bradbury to catch up, and he's well involved in the fight for first now, as he's probably going to go on to the last lap next lap. So this could prove very interesting final few corners.
Absolutely, and I just wonder if that's as much as Rob Langthorpe needs just to bring this one home, although Morgan, as you say, has been very good at getting onto the back. The difference this time is that he's got company to try and deny him that opportunity. There's Sam Slater still in 6th place, keeping Rhys Pope at bay. Christopher Powell trying to get onto the back of that one as we're on to the last lap.
And if they start to fight, Rabbage could easily be on the rear of this as well.
Very true. Is Bradbury going to have a look here? This is a part of the circuit where Bailey Morgan's been quite strong, but he's going to go on the outside, try and get the switch back here, and hope to be given the room on the driver's left, which he just about is, but actually Rabbage closes up quite a bit under braking for that one as well. I think all of this jostling for position is going to allow Langthorpe to bring it home as well. As Bailey, it's coming home for him, yes it is, as Bailey Morgan is going to lead them out through Complex Nouvelle. So it's got tight there, but I think it's going to stay as they are unless Bradbury gets a really good run off the final corner. Rob Langthorpe is going to cross the line to take the win in heat number 9, and Bailey Morgan is just about going to keep it ahead for second, ahead of Jason Bradbury, Andrew Rabbage, Andrew Ward finishing in 5th place there. Sam Slater, Rhys Pope, Chris Powell, Oscar Lancaster and Chris Woodry rounding out your top 10. Bryn Holborn finishing the highest place of your Class 3 runners in that one. Another good little race. We are going to look straight ahead, though, here at Rye House to heat number 10.
Here we are then, swiftly moving on to heat number 10. We're making our way through these races. Have a lot of fun doing so. For this grid, we've got Hussein Rashid and James Martin on the front row, followed by Dante Dillon on third. What can he do from there? Cameron Williams on fourth, with Callum Bruhl in fifth, and Steph Theodorou on sixth. They're followed by Alistair Irvine, winner of a race earlier, with Darren Teal alongside him. Then Pietro Pagano and Tony Philbin on row 5. Then Mike Coppin and Matt Hugo just behind, followed by Aidan Rudge and Sean Glennon. Then behind them on row number 8 is Samuel Essery and Jagjit Singh. Then Sam Morris and Dean Everest. And rounding out the grid in 19th is Tim Clark 2. So lovely. This is going to be a great race as they're already coming around the final corner, ready to begin. We've got, as I say, Rashid and Martin on the front row. The pole side is looking good throughout the rest of today. Will it be again as they revs rise? And they're off. Number 10, as I say, leads it and already has a slight gap. Dante Dillon sending it up into second, as well as the second place man has really gotten moved back, as Alistair Irvine, I believe that is in the pink helmet, has had a great start, moving up into fifth, almost fourth position, sticking it on the outside as they are 3 wide on exit. He's going to have to go around the inside of the barriers, making the split decision there, definitely the better one, as there's more contact going into the second hairpin, as I'm going to hand over to you, Howard.
Yeah, no, fine. Yeah, Mike Coppin getting off to a good start as well, reading the opportunities well there on the tail of Irvine as they come through Complex Nivelle. Theodorou there leading Martin and the number 6 of Daz Teal as well through the final part of this lap. But it is going to be Hussein Rashid at the front of the field. I am not race control, I want to make this clear. That looked almost suspiciously good from Rashid. I'll leave it at that. I'm not certain that's not my call, and I haven't got all the details in front of me, but rarely do we see a start
It was an incredibly good start.
to the advantage. Mike Coppin looks down the inside of Alistair Irvine, and Irvine again is, I think, going to have to make friends with the outside of those tyres. Can you tell he's racing the BUKC a lot? As Bruhl comes in, and that's far too bold on the brakes, and he can tell he's messed that up. Pagano is going to benefit, but even more than Pagano going to benefit, Aidan Rudge, I think it is, in the 125, is going to really benefit from that. It is, I think, the 125 coming up there as they all work it out, but that was just a misjudgment from Bruhl there. Very uncharacteristic for him, I must say, as he's got way back in the field here, and yeah, you're going to see Adrian Rudge jump up there. Aidan Rudge, excuse me, up into 7th place as Bruhl now is having to go defensive against Matt Hugo there in Stadium, so that really did not pay off there. Back further ahead, James Martin leads Daz Teal in their pursuit of Steph Theodorou over 3rd, as they're all working themselves out of hairpin 1 we can see out of our window, but here at the front of the field in all of that, Dante Dillon has got past Hussein Rashid. Rashid looking a little bit confused, as much as one can attribute emotion when they're wearing a full-face crash helmet, but Dillon there up into the lead of this race.
Yeah, great move from him, moving up into the lead. Go on, Dante, as he kind of gets out of the car.
That's the opposite of the DRS. That's the drag increase system. So Dante Dillon, who's making it very easy for us to shine a light on the British Indoor Karting Championships today, has got a penalty. Which might have been why he was raising himself up in the seat, maybe to acknowledge a penalty there. Odd way to acknowledge it, but it's a bump and pass. And that might be why Rashid had his hand in the air, because it was an unfair means by which Dillon took the lead and did not elect to give that back. So Dante Dillon to be got 4 positions at the end of this one. So even if he wins it on the road, he is not our winner. Mike Coppin chasing Pietro Pagano as Alistair Irvine gets his penalty as well. Track limits gaining an advantage at some point around the track. I'm going to guess that's going to be his excessive use of the outside of the tyres coming out of hairpin 1.
Yeah, he went the outside of the tyres, but the guy he then went past did wave him through.
Yeah, so, but I think, I don't know, because it got a little bit messy there, because of course Bruhl arrived very quickly on that scene and sort of tangled it all up a bit more.
Yeah, it was all a bit...
But I can sort of see race control's call that he kind of kept his foot in it and was still a part of that fight because he went around the outside of the barrier. I think the first time Irvine did it, it was fair game. The second time it was judged, I think, to be one at fault.
He got a warning for the first one as well, so it makes sense that he then gets a penalty for the second one. But as we saw on the big camera shot, the big battle near the back of the pack, they all had a bit of a tangle and they've all split up a bit. But now we're looking further forward from Theodorou 3rd downwards. We've got about 3 or 4 packs of 3 or 4 carts. This is proving very interesting. About 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, Tim Clark with a penalty, unfortunately, for bump and pass as well. So a few penalties now coming to bear on this race as Pietro Pagano there is battling with Aidan Rudge, I believe that was. Steph Theodorou still keeping some of the charging Class 1 runners in this race at bay in the form of Daz Till and James Martin there, and Alistair Irvine on the back of this now in the number 36. 3 minutes left on the clock. Dante Dillon does lead, but remember has a penalty to be applied. Hussein Rashid will have seen that, I imagine, and will quite possibly have clocked, even if he hasn't memorised all of the numbers, as Daz Till has a look at Steph Theodoro, but Theodoro keeps the door closed all the way through stadium there. And this is the kind of stuff that's going to allow Ada Rush to, as Theodoro maxing in on the brakes there, as James Martin tries to prise open the door on Daz Till, but thinks better of it for now. He's going to slot into position, and Alistair Irvine, this time not gaining an advantage by track limits, is looking for the opportunity on James Martin, but Martin needs to be careful as he comes back across the racing line that he doesn't close off the line for Irvine. He does not do so, but yeah, Hussein Rashid, your net leader at the moment, right in the wheel tracks of Dante Dillon. He might be on for an out-and-out pass for the lead of the race, but also if he's clocked that the penalty is for Dante, there's no point going all banzai move on this, as Daz Till does go down the inside of Steph Theodoro this time and does what he was not able to do a lap ago. Alistair Irvine looking for a way past James Martin, but it's not on there. And here is Dillon defending against Rashid.
I do have to give a shout out to Mr. Raj. Moved down to 8th position now as Coppin has got him, but he did get a contact warning for his pass. So doing a very good job of defending his Raj, and has now Pagano breathings down his neck. So in Class 3, having to fight with 2 Class 1 runners, doing a great job.
I just spotted on the long shot there down the back straight. I think Pagano may have got him. But yeah, read the drama of a few laps ago really well. He really read that well and was able to capitalise, and now he's in a position where, yes, he is having to defend, but he's a Class 3 driver defending against Class 1s out there because he was able to read those situations well. So well worth the shout-out. Steph Theodoro now with James Martin in the green helmet on his tail. He's going to think about going defensive. He's going to go defensive, and he's so aggressive. Uses that snap oversteer into the hairpin.
It looks fantastic.
It looks fantastic, and it probably allows him to turn that car really nicely on a dime through the hairpin as he flicks it back. Just gets the dynamics of the kart working nicely there. Irvine still not able to find a way of prizing open the door for James Martin, as we're going to be surely going on to the last lap of the race this time when Dillon and Rashid cross the line.
Yeah, Irvine looking, waiting for that perfect move, but he's now got Coppin breathing down his neck, almost on the back of the pack, but he has got about half a second between them. Is one lap going to be enough for Coppin to get involved in this battle? As we look forward to the leaders, we got Dante leading Rashid, not quite able to make a move there. As again, the 85 Theodoro with the incredible prowess of his braking there into hairpin 1. But back to the leaders. We're going to look for them as we go into the final section of the track. Unlikely that Rashid's going to be able to make a move through here, but as we say, doesn't need to. Yeah. Does not need to. He's going to get the win anyway. As we look back to this gaggle of 4 or 5 karts, not looking like any move's going to happen. They're all kind of sticking in single file. It's looking like as we come through the final corner, Dante Dillon is going to win the race, but with a penalty, he's going to drop down to P2. So Rashid actually takes the win, with Teal in 3rd, Theodore in 4th, Martin in 5th there, Irvine in 6th, Coppin in 7th, Pagano 8th, and Rudge in 9th. Big shout out to him. And then Essery again with another solid performance in 10th.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Don't forget, by the way, results.alphatiming.co.uk, and click on Club 100 for the confirmed results of each of these heats. Here, though, on your live stream from Alpha Live, we're going to look ahead to heat number 11. Your grid then for Heat 11 of round 5 of the Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championship for 2021. Chris Lewis-Evans will be looking to do a bit of damage limitation after that difficult second heat for him with the spin. Dom Cliff alongside Rihanna Percox and Ed Bars on row 2, row 3 is Jack O'Neill and Josh Sangster. Peter Knight and Matt Collier make up row 4 with Adrian Mertens and Charlie Monk rounding out your top 10. Dan Cohen and Simon Sharp are row 6. Row 7 is going to be Rob Kassam and Matthew Cliff. Bartek Barakonski and Finn Farrow make up row 8. Row 9 is Peter Sharp and Russell Cooper. And then Matthew Cochran will round out your 19 karts on the grid. And if that felt like quite a quick run through, that is because we are going straight into this one. Chris Lewis-Evans in the 130 leads them away with Rihanna Percox on the outside, on the anti-pole side of the grid. She's also got Jack O'Neill behind her as well, in fact Ed Bars as well. This is very interesting from a championship perspective to have Bars and O'Neill. This is the first heat of the day where we've had both of them in at the same time. For now, though, it is Rihanna Percox, though, going side by side with the 45 of Joshua Sangster, but now Sangster drops down. We've got a spin at the hairpin. Yeah, so that is going to be Matthew Cockram, who's got to recover that one. Here is O'Neill versus Percox, though, onto the back straight, as he's going to be looking up the road and seeing Ed Bars here challenging Chris Lewis-Evans, who at the moment is absorbing the pressure brilliantly right now, as they work their way through, snaking through the last section of the lap. Important to string it together through the Esser so they can get best exit from this paddock corner. At the end of lap 1 then, it is Chris Lewis-Evans ahead of Ed Bars. Rihanna Percox in third, under pressure from Jack O'Neill. And here is Ed Bars in the 1, pressurising the 130 of Chris Lewis-Evans. One would have thought he's going to try down the inside of hairpin 1, and he is indeed going to make that move stick. So Ed Bars to the lead of the race.
Cheeky switchback, perfectly weighted under brakes. Gets a little tap from behind. The 130 not too happy with that. Maybe going a little bit too late on the brakes there. And Ed Bars looking like he could pull away here, as Evans is now going to have to defend against the number 5. That is Rihanna Percox. It is indeed. And 41 there with a Collier with an interesting line. They're getting it properly flicked in for the left-hander there. As we look back to the leaders, we've got Bars, followed by Evans now down to P2, then Percox, then O'Neill, with Knight still there on the back of the pack, and then a slight little gap then back to Collier in 6th place. 5 minutes to go. How can this work out? Ed Bars, as look there, the 99 of Jack O'Neill, sends out the inside again, lovely weighted, move to the inside. Job done, up into 3rd position.
Indeed, and Peter Knight there sniffed the opportunity but wasn't able to convert it for now on Rihanna Perkins. Just a little shake from the head there from Rihanna. Another British University's Karting Championship graduate, although it has to be said she was racing Club 100 before she got involved in that championship, so plenty of experience in the number 5 kart there. As it is indeed, as John was covering, Jack O'Neill now up into 3rd place and in pursuit of Chris Lewis-Evans. Are we going to be given a little bit of a taster of what may be to come yet in the A final if O'Neill can get by? And it's going to be 1st and 2nd in the championship for the lead of this heat. That'll be a nice little preview of what may be to come in trophy finals, as I say, as Rihanna Percox is still holding off Peter Knight there, and good driving from Matthew Collier in the 41 to stay with them as well.
Yeah, I was hoping so, but Ed Bars already putting down some very good pace moving forward. I think he could have almost a second in the lead now. Is it going to come across the time in what would you call it? Time in line?
Timing loop, timing line.
There we go. He is now 1.1 as there we go. O'Neill makes the move done into turn 1, that stadium section. He's really enjoyed a move there so far today. Now up into P2, and now he's going to try and hunt down Bars in the lead.
Absolutely going to be interesting to see if he can close that down, because Ed Bars will have some, well, he has got some rude health to his pace from 42.961, the fastest lap of the race, with him on that last lap. He has been trying to break the gap as much as he can, probably knowing that it's highly likely O'Neill will come through, as Rihanna Percox will now try and set about getting past Chris Lewis-Evans, which I think would line us up for the first point today, where actually the Class 1s, 2s and 3s will have lined up as expected, I shall say, but by no means guaranteed, of course, because all scored together, all in equal machinery here in Club 100. There is Josh Sangster, that's Adrian Merton there, having a look at Dan Cohen as they come into hairpin 1. That's in the battle over 9th place. Here is your race leader, Ed Bars, coming onto the back straight of this Rye House Kart Raceway. Perhaps quite most famous is Rye House, of course, for playing a very important role in the early career of a certain Lewis Hamilton.
Really?
I know. Very well known fact about Rye House. As there's another fastest lap of the race from Ed Bars there of 42.820. But we got to mention it. It's whenever you're at Rye House, you acknowledge Lewis Hamilton. Whenever you're at Clay, you acknowledge Jenson Button. It is great that Club 100 is able to come to these genuinely the premier kart venues in the country. That's what I love so much about the opportunity this championship provides. And don't think that's not just because I'm doing some work for them today. I've been racing these now for 8 years. I absolutely love this category of racing. It really is good fun out there, as Rihanna Percox now is trying to line herself up for an opportunity to take 3rd place here off of Chris Lewis-Evans, whose pace is really, really good. I'm very impressed by how he's driving at the moment. but he is coming under increasing pressure at the moment. Just calm down a little bit, this one. That's a relative term, but it has calmed down just a little bit as people trying to get onto the back of their respective prey, if you like, within these battles.
Yeah, I've been very impressed by Chris Lewis Evans, actually. I thought he might fall behind Rihanna a little bit quicker than he has, but done some great pace.
Yep.
Keeping her behind, not even like having to defend loads. He's just there on his own pace.
Just allowing his own pace to speak for itself. Finn Farrow's got past Rob Casa for a 12th on that last lap as well, so changes happening in Class 3 there, as that is the 41 of Matthew Collier coming out of the final corner. And then just saw a glimpse of Charlie Monk, who we haven't mentioned too much this race, but doing all right. You know, I think his heats have gone relatively well. I'm just trying to think back through them. It can be quite difficult to think back through because we have quite a few of them.
We've had a decent number. And I think also this might be the first heat where we haven't had a single penalty. So the boys keep it very clean out there.
Don't say that.
Oh no, that first commentator's curse, is it? We're going to come on to the final lap very soon and we're going to see someone just absolutely send it. 3 penalties, oh dear, that's not that goal.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, as we say, Ed Bars, I believe, is just going to come across the line now, going on to the final lap, and his pace has been unbelievable.
I was going to say, he's been able to set the pace such that Jack O'Neill hasn't been able to close that gap. And this is interesting to me. This is interesting to me. I was saying earlier how, you know, Ed Bars needs to start taking the fight to Jack O'Neill even more so than he has been. Impressive though his scoreline is, O'Neill with those straight wins at all 4 rounds, you need to start. If Ed Bars is going to retain his title, he's got to start having performances like this. Will this be the case in the A final, or will it be the case that because they don't have to work their way through traffic, they'll be right on top of each other, and which way will it then go? Going to be interesting to see. But for now, though, coming around the final corner at Paddock, it is going to be Ed Bars who takes the win in heat number 11. Looks behind him. Where is everybody? He wonders, but it's because of his amazing pace there. Fastest lap of 42.693, which is pretty fast. That's a very impressive lap time around this circuit. Jack O'Neill in second. Chris Lewis Evans did well there to hold on to third. Held off Rihanna Perkins there. Peter Knight fifth. Matt Collier, Joshua Sangster, Charlie Monk, Dan Cohen and Adrian Mertens rounds up the top 10. Well done to Simon Sharp, highest placed of the Class 3 runners. We have just one more lightweight heat to go for you here at Rye House. We've got through them all nearly. Coming up next is heat number 12, that final heat for you here at Rye House.
Here we go again, as we say, final heat of the lightweights for today, heat number 12. And we've got Josh Adams on pole, alongside him Stephen Westwood, then Jed Toole and Ned Douglas on row 2, then Keith Segal and Dan Seeger, very similar names there, on row 3. Then in 7th position, we've got Ramunas Sirkausas and Greg Smith, then Thomas Barrett and Ashley White, followed by Dan Healy and James Browning, then Liam Rogers and Luke Dunnett, followed by James Dunnett, then Andrew Bushell, and finally Joe Ratcliffe to final out the grid.
Thank you, John Radcliffe, for taking us through the grid. As we look to this one, Josh Adams then in the blue and white suit, going to be on the inside with Stephen Westwood alongside in the 81, the bright orange helmet. You can't miss him. In fact, it's all fluorescent on that anti-box. Ned Douglas is just behind him as well. Eyes on the lights, engine notes rise, and we're away for our final heat. It's a good start from the pole side of the grid, and Jed Toole is going to take the advantage there as Stephen Westwood, is hung out to dry on the outside there. That's been very costly through stadium for him. He's gone right about midway through the pack, it looks to me, there, so it did not go well from second on the grid as they're all working their way through. They're going to go side by side through the gap in the tyres in avoidance. I don't know how race control is going to judge that. Not quite sure how Dan Healy and Ramunas Sirkausas managed that one, but they did. Racing room given, even when it's not on the tarmac. Good to see, I suppose. Stephen Westwood goes side by side with Dan Seeger as well through the last sector, but Westwood's going to go right off there and somehow managed to gather it up and avoid the tyres there, but that was a really difficult first lap for Stephen Westwood, I think is the kindest way I can put it. He's going to be licking his wounds after that one. It is Josh Adams who leads, Jed Toole in second, Ned Douglas, Keith Segal. Good start from him as Ned Douglas is defending. No, that was Ned Douglas versus Jed Toole over second we were looking at there, as Dan Healy allows Thomas Barrett back through, I think, because he felt that he'd been a bit too robust in his attack. That's good at heads-up driving to realise when you've had something that could warrant a penalty, so give it up now, as there is, that was Dan Seeger being overtaken there. It was Keith Seagal, excuse me, being overtaken by Ashley White.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah, Seagal getting shuffled out wide there, and he's still on the outside. Coming into the stadium section, he's going to lose one and going to lose a second. Gets squeezed out by the number 2. That is Mr. Healy.
Yeah.
Yep, squeezes him out there, and I believe that Seagal's going to lose a couple more positions there. Yeah, getting pushed to the back of the pack, and again, number 28, Seeger up the inside. So a really not a great lap for Seagal.
This is the thing. He got put out wide, and out wide round stadium, it's not just the longer way around. There is just less grip out there because you've got all the deposits from the cars and no rubber's been laid down. It's not where they were. It's one of the most pronounced effects of you're not on the racing line anymore. So it's always getting that judgment right through stadium. That's why you would look at it and go, well, maybe they should go even further out to maximise that final apex coming onto the next straight with Reg's elbow. But if you go too far out, you start to be thrown out wide and you just can't gather it back up. So that was a good demonstration, albeit I'm sure Keith Seagal would have liked to have demonstrated it in a less costly way, but that's exactly how it can all fall apart if you run it too wide through stadium. Dan Healy now, though, pressuring the back of Ramanas Sakauskas after their synchronised going through the runoff in avoidance routine on the first lap, which the judges are going to get back to us with their scoring for that in a moment, I'm sure. Greg Smith defending against Dan Seeger as well there, the 98 and the 28 respectively. Josh Adams still leads though, controlling this one nicely. New fastest lap of the race from Greg Smith, trying to get onto the back of Dan Healy. Here is Healy on the tail of Sakauskas. And he's going to have a look here down the inside of hairpin 1. He's going to have to be bold on the brakes for this though. Will Sakauskas relent? Yes, he will. He's going to immediately have the attentions of Greg Smith. There, our 2020 Class 3 champion. He's going to try and tuck underneath and have the nose just in front to bring it home into pylon. And he's going to have to... That's robust defence from Sakauskas there. I can understand Greg Smith's frustration in a way there because I think he felt a little bit squeezed on the inside of that one. Potentially Sakauskas needed to give a bit more racing room, arguably, on that one. We'll see how race control see that one. Adams with a new personal best, though, at the head of the field, 0.6 of a second to the good over Ned Douglas as we continue to watch this battle over 6th place.
I have to agree with you there. I thought he was going to get squeezed to the barriers on the inside, so I think the touch then pushing him wide was okay, as there's more contact down into the first hairpin. There was Seeger again, getting all a bit feisty now with only about 3 minutes left in this race.
I just saw a spin out my window, sorry, you can't see it on stream. That is Joe Ratcliffe.
And we were talking about Lewis Hamilton earlier. He has a beautiful purple and black Lewis Hamilton helmet on. So there you go, the return of Lewis Hamilton in Joe Ratcliffe.
There we go. Nice to see. Here is your lead battle though. Ned Douglas pursuing Josh Adams, and then there is the battle for 3rd, and then there is the battle for 6th. So we're breaking off into little groups here. Here's your 3rd place group, and then here are your leaders: Josh Adams, Ned Douglas through hairpin 1. Still plenty of time to run with this one as well, so opportunities are plenty still to come. Jed Toole, as I say, some 2 seconds behind. You'll see him in the background there leading Ashley White and Dan Healy, and then comes the battle for 6th with Greg Smith in the green helmet and suit at the moment leading that particular exchange.
Yeah, a few nice battles opening up in this one. Adams with only about 3 or 4 tenths in it at the lead, with Douglas breathing down his neck, and then a little bit of a gap of about 2 seconds or so back to the battle of 3rd, 4th and 5th of Toole, White and Healy. So all hotting up. Beautiful shot of the high-vis Club 100 man there as we enter the first hairpin. Adams continuing to hold the lead, looking back, making sure he's got a good amount of space to take his proper line through the secondary hairpin, holding this lead just about as another contact warning for Dan Seeger. Do we have many penalties that have come through so far? We've got a cone penalty for Joe Ratcliffe. He's had a spin, so that's not going to matter too much for him, but otherwise, just a lot of warnings.
Yeah, but warnings can amass and become penalties, of course, so the drivers do need to heed those and take the necessary caution. Ashley White and Dan Healy have got by Jed Toole on that lap. It's the new fastest lap of the race from Stephen Westwood, who's trying to work his way back up the order, having started second on the grid. It just didn't go his way through
He just
stadium.
had the fastest lap.
Yeah, it's Dan Healy here down the inside of Ashley White, but he goes in too hot, and Ashley White's able to claim it back. Meanwhile, in the lead battle here, Ned Douglas looks to me like he just had a very earnest attempt for the lead there into hairpin 2, which we joined the final part of, if you like. Yeah, still Ashley White ahead of Dan Healy behind.
Yeah, this is hotting up now. Adams beginning to look behind him, beginning to realise, okay, I think we are going to go on to the final lap here. If it updates, it is indeed. So we are on to the final lap. He was looking behind through that second last lap, looking to defend, knows, okay, this is it. I've got to keep him behind for these final few corners. Can the number 19 of Douglas get a good exit? He goes for it, up the inside, deep on the brakes. Are they going to make contact? Not quite, give each other racing room. And Adams is able to get the better exit there and take him back round the outside, and that's actually allowed for a gap to open. So that bit of a send from Douglas there might have actually hindered him going into the final part of the race. We're going to look back to the battle behind. We've got Healy leading them, I believe, now, who must have made a move on this lap on White to move up into third position, taking the podium as they're going to come through the final section of the lap. And it is Adams to take the win. Some good defending from him there to keep it away from Douglas in second. Then Healy, as I say, doing the fastest lap on the final lap to take third position, with White just behind him. And we had Smith in fifth, Toole in sixth, Barrett in seventh, Sakausis in eighth, Seeger in ninth, and Westwood rounding out your top 10, not having his best race of his life, but managing to work his way back up and steal some points for himself.
There we go then. We've done all of our heats in the lightweights for today, and that means it's going to be time to toss up all the points and work out the grids for our C final, our B final, our A final. We will talk about how all of that works. We are going to take a bit, you'll understand, they've been coming quite frantically, these ones. We're going to take just a quick break here on comms, and then be back with you just as they're topping the scores for the finals. We'll be back with you very shortly here on your Alpha live stream of round 5 of the Club 100 Sprints Championship.
Welcome to Alpha Live, the live streaming service where you can be part of the action from home. You can watch via your smart TV, phone, tablet, or even your gaming console. We've got you covered. Just head to the YouTube app on any of your devices and search for Alpha Live. Here you can watch all of the events as they unfold, or you could choose from our vast library for those lazy days in, all in beautiful HD. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.
Hi drivers, John Vigor here from Club 100. Just wanted to express how excited I am in announcing our partnership with Team Sport. Club 100 is sponsoring 5 of the British Indoor Karting Championships and offering those champions and runners-up an amazing opportunity to race for free in 2021 in our Young Drivers and Rookie Championships. Wishing you the best of luck in the ABkC with Team Sport. So yes, Club 100, we are launching the first ever high performance two-stroke arrive and drive series for young drivers. We're naming it the Young Drivers Championship, designed for 14 to 18-year-olds. So, 26 years Club 100 has been racing now, and we've had thousands through the door, enjoying their racing with us at that level playing field in a high performance car. Most of the drivers have tended to be sort of 18 plus, even going up to 70 years of age. And I think the awareness has not been there for the last couple of years that we can take drivers at the age of 14, in the year of their 15th birthday, they can race. So we thought it would be ideal to introduce something that attracts the younger driver and have them all racing as a group together, separate from the main Club 100 championships on a separate weekend. So young drivers out there looking at this video may be thinking, how does it work? What's it going to cost me? £1,400 is what it's going to cost you for a full season. 7 rounds of racing in the Young Drivers' Championship with absolutely no hidden extras. So you're probably thinking, well, if we damage the kart, do we have to bring our own fuel? Do we have to do anything with regards to tyres? No, everything is provided. Your transponder is provided for the timing. Even race kit is provided if you don't have your own racewear. Drivers just simply need to turn up and drive.
Hello, I'm Josh, I'm 15 and I'm from Norfolk. I've been racing in Club 100 for just over a year now. I really enjoy racing with these new karts. What I really like about Club 100 is the fact that no matter what driver level you are at, you will always have someone that you can race against because there are so many people. I really love racing in the quicker karts with the 2-stroke engines because I find it more fun. What I also enjoy is that everyone is on the same equipment and it's also pretty level, so it's all down to driver ability.
I'm Bailey Morgan, I am 14 years old and I am from Hastings. I started karting when I was 5 years old and I've been in Club 100 for about a year now. What I love about Club 100 is the sheer speed of the karts and how the brakes are really good at the same time and how each and every track is different in its own way. Well, it is really good because it's more clean, more fair, and the karts are obviously more fast, so that's more enjoyable.
My name's Martin, I'm Josh's dad. We got involved with Club 100 just over a year ago. We really got involved with the championship. We found it so friendly, we found it a nice level playing field for the kids and adults to race. But more than that, it's a good family get-together. Josh is talking to his chums that he's met racing. We're talking to the parents. It's become a real social event with us.
Right, my name's Chris, I'm Bailey's dad. I go to all the races with Bailey in the current championship of Club 100, but we've got a new concept coming out next season called the Young Drivers Championship. It will put Bailey and other youngsters that are currently in Club 100 into the same bracket. It's a brilliant idea, and you know, to bring more young people into it, and hopefully, you know, they then move on to the bigger championship, you know, when they feel in this, you know, they're at the appropriate age and readiness, really.
So Motorsport UK, the UK's governing body for all things on 4 wheels, right up to Formula 1, they recognise Club 100 and they think the Club 100 concept is a good thing, and they really do want to get involved in the Club 100 Arrive and Drive concept. So for the first time for next year in the Young Drivers Championship, which we're introducing, drivers that take part in the full season will be able to achieve their full race licence with Motorsport UK.
I really look forward to racing in the Young Drivers Championship next season, as I think it will be nice to race against people my own age.
The Young Drivers Championship is a brilliant concept. We're really looking forward to coming. Joshua, to be able to race with people his own age on a level playing field is second to none.
I can't wait to race in the Young Drivers Championship.
So if you want to get involved in the Club 100 Young Drivers Championship next season, just head to the website www.club100.co.uk or find us on Facebook, Club 100 Racing.
the lightweights for round 5 of the Club 100 Sprint Championship. I'm going to run through at least some of this grid as fast as I can. It is Keith Segal and Andrew Bushell on row 1, Aaron Stillwell and Jagjit Singh on 2, Peter Sharp and Eamon Salir on 3, Finn Farrow and Matt Hugo on 4, Dean Everest and Luke Dunnett to round out your top 10, Sean Glennon and Matthew Cockram on row 6. Row 7 is Simon Sharp and James Dunnett, then Sam Morris and Bartek Barakonski alongside on row 8. Alex Branderman, Peter Elliott, Liam Rogers and Tim Clark round out your top 20. And then we're going to fly through the remaining 7. It's Joe Radcliffe and David Hamer. It's James Browning and Dom Cliff on row 12. Cameron Williams and Tony Philbin on row 13. And Matt Cliff to round out your 27 carts. That's how, and they're going around again.
Yeah.
I really,
Someone with a green helmet went into the pits. I'm not sure who it was. I didn't quite catch the number.
So actually that gives us a chance to talk a little bit more about these finals format. So it's now up to 12 minutes for these races. And this is the key thing about these finals. The top 4 of the C final get promoted up into the B, or repechaged as the regulations stated. So the top 4 finishers here, if you've had bad heats, your opportunity for redemption is to finish in the top 4 of this race. I'm going to guess it's, I don't want to steal your thunder, mate, it's Dean Everest, right?
Yeah, it was indeed Dean Everest.
So we're waiting to see if he rejoins. But yeah, top 4 positions is key for the C. We are going to go around again. So yeah, it'll be that for the C final. When we get to the B final, we're looking for the top 2 positions to be promoted. For now, just focusing on that top 4 in this one. But obviously, everyone's fighting for the positions. What's the difference, I hear you ask, between this and the heats in terms of points? Well, a heat win would have bagged you 20 points here. If you win the A final, as in win the finals overall, you will be bagging 130 points for yourself in the championship. So it's a big deal. This is where the vast majority of the points are earned. And no, that's not for winning this particular race, because this is our C final. As there is Dean Everest trying to take his place in the number 20 there. So he's now, I presume, switched carts.
He did indeed, yeah.
He did, yeah, it makes sense that he did. So, bigger grid, that's the key thing. We've been talking in 18 carts and 19 carts. This is a much bigger grid here now with the 27 carts. The key thing will be, and bear in mind as well, it's a lot of our Class 3 runners. There is less, on average, less experience in this field, so it's going to be key that these drivers give each other racing room on this opening lap. I imagine we're going to be good for the go. It is Keith Segal, who's done so much defensive driving so far today. On your left, it's Andrew Bushell on the right, one of your Class 3 runners. And here we go into the stadium for the first time. Good start from Segal. He's going to have cleared all of the action behind him for now, as they're all jostling for position, going 3 wide through Reg's elbow as they head towards the first heavy braking zone down into hairpin 1. Can they all keep it tidy through there? I'm delighted to say, yes, they can. Good heads-up driving from some of these Class 3 drivers, as they're maybe a little bit of rubbing his racing throughout hairpin 2 there, but so far so good. There's the number 77, raises his arm. His number plate at the very least is a little bit skewy. So some action there. He's always going in. There's a problem with the car. Okay, it's more than just the number plate then for Simon Sharp, unfortunately, and that's going to be devastating for him and his score come the end of today. But it is Keith Segal who's in first, Aaron Stillwell, Jagjit Singh and Andrew Bushell. You're critically your top 4, and that's a slippery surface flag. Now, I'm not seeing rain, so I'm wondering if that means that that Simon Sharp's kart may have put down some oil, or is there just, I'm really terrible at judging rain. I can't see anything out there.
Rain, no.
So I wonder if there's been something put down by Simon Sharp's kart there, as there's another moment there for Peter Sharp, as Finn Farrow is going to capitalise on that in the 97 and get by, and Luke Dunnett as well looks to buy into that, as there's a spin at the hairpin. Yeah, and that is, we don't have a 102, exactly. So I'm going to say it's the 108. Just that we need to maybe get our eyesight checked.
I definitely do. I think you might be right.
I'm going to say it's James Browning there, who's at the side of the road.
He might have had a coming together with Sam Morris.
Oh,
as
no,
he's dropped about 7 positions.
Is it Joe Ratcliffe, actually? Yes, because it's the Lewis Hamilton.
You're right, of
black.
course, the Lewis Hamilton helmet.
It is, and we both need to book ourselves in at the opticians, it turns out. Here, though, is the battle over 3rd place. I believe still between Eamon Salir and Andrew Bushell, who's now got back past Jagjit Singh, has he? I think, in their battle over this. Critical, remember, the top 4 of this race will get to go on to the back of that B final. So it really is the hot ticket that everybody is trying to get. And that means that the tactical approach to the race is different as well. As it is, sorry, Salir up into second and now challenging Segal for the lead. Lovely stuff by Eamon Salir. Apologies to him, I missed quite how successful that second lap had been. So Eamon Salir now, third lap had been. Eamon Salir now up into the lead as everyone acknowledges the yellows down at hairpin 1 as Joe Ratcliffe is having issues there with the kart on the exit of that. It's going to be race run more or less there for Ratcliffe, unfortunately, but it is Eamon Salir who leads them down the back straight now ahead of Keith Segal with Aaron Stillwell and Jagjit Singh rounding out those critical top 4 places.
It's definitely noticeable there's a lot more runners in this race, and unlike other races where they kind of split off into a few packs or so, they're all just seemingly in one big bundle still. So this could prove very interesting.
But that's the thing, of course, that you, in a way, that's more common in these finals, of course, because we've done all the filtering of who's where in the pecking order through our heats.
Makes
so
sense.
by and large, except for where like there have been incidents or spins or kart fight, I don't remember it. As there's a spinner, I can see, there we go, at hairpin 1. So we'll double check who that is as they come through. But yeah, it tends to be closer like this in our finals for that very reason. Having said that, Eamon Salir has been able to get on the road here ahead of Keith Segal, defending against Aaron Stillwell, Jagjit Singh, Andrew Bushell, Finn Farrow, Luke Dunnett. As you say, John, everyone's actually in this train, it feels, at the moment. As we've still got 8 minutes to go, because remember, we've got the longer 12-minute times to these heats.
It was Matt Hugo who had the spin there, and he's dropped to the back of that big pack in 18th position now, so frustrating for him as Finn Farrow gets a curb warning. Again, the boys got to watch out for those warnings because they can build up to be penalties, and then you've just screwed yourself out of a lot of points. As you said earlier, man in the lead. How did you pronounce his name again?
Eamon Salir.
Salir. He's done a fantastic job. What a send that was at the first corner, and he's absolutely just driven away with it. Over 1.5 seconds now out in the lead, doing a very commanding job, and now Segal is having to put on some defence for that second place. As you say, the top 4 moving up into the B final, and there seems to be a slight gap at the moment between 4th and 5th. As there we go, look for the move, number 62 Stillwell. Can he hold it? He's still got his nose in there, a little bit of contact there is, and we can't see what's happened. They are still side by side, and look who's that, the 66 of Singh, going to make it 3 wide. No, he's not. He thinks better of it. Moves back behind the 2 of them, but they are still almost 3 wide. Now 37 and 52 are getting involved. 52 is going to send up the inside. That is Bushell. A little bit of rubbing there as nearly took off from the curb there, number 37. That was done it. And then 4 wide. It's just all jostling and diving between each other.
Yeah, Peter Shah, Luke Dunnett and Andrew Bushell, all beneficiaries of that. I've got to say, I mean, it's easy to have hindsight in this one, but they've all lined up in the same order in the top 4. Stillwell needs to pick his moment a bit more, in a way, a bit more cleanly than that, because right now he's going into the B final.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you finish 2nd or 3rd in this race, just make sure you finish in that top 4, and it's doing moves like that, and you saw the way that on that lap, as Stillwell again is going to try, and that's
Terrible
contact
move
between himself and Segal, and I'm not sure how much room was given by Segal on the inside, but at the same time, that wasn't, for me, that wasn't quite decisive enough from Aaron there. He needed to have more of his kart alongside before they got to that braking zone. Again, easy to be, you know, the king of hindsight on this one. And it's worth saying as well, you know, for a lot of these Class 3 runners, this might be the first time that they've raced here at Rye House. They're still, I mean, it is the Class 3 novice class for a reason, right?
Yeah.
They are getting used to it, but yeah, it just didn't go Aaron Stillwell's way, and now that is unfortunately the end of his and Keith's opportunity to get up into that B final. And Stillwell indeed has been issued with an advantage by contact takeout penalty. Not too surprising. I think that was yeah, Keith was defending aggressively, there's no two ways about it, but yeah, just I think you've got to, this is what I was saying earlier actually, that you'd think looking at the track, oh yeah, under braking to hairpin 1, it's actually more common to see the things on corner exit, because you have to be so bold on the brakes to you'd have to stamp on them into that hairpin sometimes to make it work. And I think you saw it there where just trying to run it with the overspeed didn't pay off. Nevertheless, Jagjit Singh now in 2nd place, Peter Sharp and Luke Dunnett in your 2nd, 3rd and 4th places respectively, and that is being challenged by Andrew Bushell, though, who is right on the tail of Luke Dunnett at the moment. So a good battle over that 4th place. Eamon Salir there, wondering where everybody else has gone, but that's a nice position to be in.
Almost 4 seconds up the road now, doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, absolutely. But aided, of course, not to take away from his pace, but aided, no doubt, from the amount of jostling for position going on behind as well. As we're within the last 5 minutes of this one. Here is Jagjit Singh and Peter Sharp. This is the critical thing for me, John. And this is something we talk about so often since we've moved to this format in Club 100 racing. This is where the smart thing to do, maybe a few laps it was different because everyone was still bunched up, so maybe you felt more secure at the head of the field. But now, definitely, Jagjit and Peter just work together. Just get yourselves onto the back of that B final grid and then have the best battle you've ever had between yourselves in that next race. But get into that next race because that's where the opportunity of the bigger points are. If you're Luke Dunnett, though, you are, to use the Formula 1 phrase, you are on the bubble right now. So you are going to be looking over your shoulder a little bit at Andrew Bushell. Matt Cockram, Aaron Stillwell still factors in this, but of course Stillwell with that penalty for the takeout, even if he were to finish down the top 4, he wouldn't be scored as such.
Yeah, as you were saying, that Peter Sharp was taking a good look behind him, seeing what he needed to do, and as you say, I think taking the smart option of sticking behind Singh and just working together, build out that pace up front and get the gap and secure that entry into the B final. But as you say, Dunnett is on the bubble. He's got about 6/10 now on Bushell. Bushell's still there, still could prove an issue, as we have still got about 3 minutes left in this race.
Yeah, Finfero having a look at the back in the early part of this lap of Aaron Stillwell. Finn's been, do you know what, just noticed the odd cheeky move from him today. I think Finn's been battling quite well out there. So keep an eye on whether he can get a move done, although I don't think he was able to make it pay off, so he has perhaps got James Dunnett giving him slightly closer attention. There's a fastest lap of the race from Jagjit Singh. We're looking here then at Andrew Bushell on the back of Luke Dunnett. That is the 37 versus the 52. That is the final ticket into the B final.
With Cockerham just breathing down their neck as well. He knows if they start battling within a few corners, he will be on them.
Yep, if I was him, that's exactly what I'd be hoping for them to do.
As number 37 giving a big look behind. He knows what's going on. He knows he's going to have to defend this. But obviously, as we just said, doesn't want to defend it too much as he goes a bit wide. He's leaving the door open, but not going to quite work through there. Bushell is going to have to sit behind him. But as we say, number 30, even that tiny little bit of battling there, and he's already moved up behind them. Yeah,
but how's Bushell's run out of the corner? That's the interesting thing. Not good enough to load himself
penalty
up.
for Dunnett.
And that's it. That's so costly for him right now because he is 1.3 seconds off the back of Singh and Sharp. Singh and Sharp don't look to be, in fact, they've spaced out a little bit now, if anything. So for Luke, that could be it for his opportunity to get up into the final. Having said that, here's the critical thing. Andrew, unless he's been very savvy with knowing his numbers or seen Luke acknowledge the penalty on the digiflag, won't necessarily know it. He might still think everything's on the line, we've got to go for it. And if you're Luke Dunnett, yeah, okay, maybe you're not going to get into the B final, but you still want points, so it's still in your interest to defend the position. So whether that actually changes the dynamic in the battle is a different thing, but it does, unfortunately, as there is Cockerham up the inside of Bushell through Stadium. Bold move there, managed to hang it on the inside, and he's now put himself in. He may not know it. This is the key thing. He may not know it because of the penalties and not knowing who's got what penalty, but he has just moved himself up into that last promotion spot. But he will now feel he's in the pound seat to challenge for the last of those promotion spots.
Yeah, it was a good move from him, and he's looking like he's got very good pace as Cockerham. He's made that move stick, and he's already pressing on to try and overtake Dunnett now. But as we say, he might not really realise that he doesn't actually need to. So hopefully, we're going to go on to the second last lap, I do believe now. Yep. Hopefully, if he goes from here, he doesn't kind of do a big old send and ruin his entire race without realising that he's kind of already done it.
Eamon Salir leads by some 1.6 seconds. Good pace shown by Jagjit Singh in this race. Another fastest lap of the race has bridged the gap to Peter Sharp, but I don't think Peter's going to mind because, actually, I say that, he's being pulled into this battle, isn't he? I've just realised the 76 is dropping back here onto the 37, so that is not a done conclusion by any stretch.
He had a second and a half starting this lap, and he's only about 10th.
Might have just had a moment, gone too deep in a corner or something. We don't know, but either way, as we go on to the last lap,
but this means that
not
Dunnett
secure.
Now has the opportunity to get it back up.
Yeah, if Dunnett can get by, he will, even with the cone penalty, get up. You're absolutely right there, John. And in doing so, he would be denying Cockerham that as well.
The leaders go through.
As
So
here
here's the
is
battle we're looking
Cockram.
at.
Yeah, Cockram trying down the inside, and he's going to be bold, and there's a little touch, and he knows he's got to allow Sharp back through. That savvy driving hasn't allowed Dunnett to come back at him. No, it hasn't. So and in fact, Dunnett's suffered quite heavily out of that, because here's the 52 of Bushell. He knows that this is the last ticket to the B final, I think, as well. So he's going to be trying his best. It is going to be Eamon Salir who comes across the line to win the C final here and get his promotion, as will Jagjit Singh. Peter Sharp, who's going to come across third, though? It is going to be Peter Sharp, and then Matt Cockram, who bags himself the last place on the B final grid. Andrew Bushell, disappointment for him, just misses out. Aaron Stillwell finishes sixth, but obviously with quite a penalty to be applied for the incident with Keith Segal. Luke Dunnett, Finn Farrow, James Dunnett, Bartek Barakanski round out your top 10. Dean Everest and James Browning in 11th and 12th. Tony Philbin in 13th. Sean Glennon in 14th. Then it was Keith Segal in the end, finishing in 15th. Disappointing for him, of course. Would have hoped for that promotion. Alex Brandom, Tim Clark, Matt Hugo, Liam Rogers and Sam Morris round out your top 20. And then we saw quite a few issues, actually, for drivers out there. Peter Elliott, Joe Radcliffe, and Simon Sharp all having difficulties, I think, in that one. That was your C final. We're going to be moving straight into the B final next here at Rye House. Here we go then with our B final grid. We've got the graphic for this one. There we go. Charlie Monk will lead the B final away here with Jed Toole alongside Callum Bruhl, and Adrian Mertens are on row 2. It's one of our British indoor karting champions in the form of Sam Slater on row 3 with Oscar Lancaster alongside. Row 4 is going to be Dan Seeger and Andrew Rabbage. Alistair Irvin and Dante Dillon, our other BIKC champion competing in the lightweights here today, rounds out the top 10. Stephen Westwood and Chris Lewis Evans are on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Thomas Barrett and Ashley White. Josh Sangster and Ramanas Sakauskas round out your 8th row of the grid. Amy Breacher and Aidan Rudge are on row 9. Row 10 is going to be Robin Kassam and Justin Draper. Bryn Albon and Russell Cooper are on row 11. And your confirmed additions who are not on the graphic because they've only just been confirmed from the C final will be Eamon Salir and Jagjit Singh on the 12th row, and the 13th row will be Peter Sharp and Andrew Bushell. Those are your confirmed promotees, repêchages, as I believe the regs say, from your C final for round 5. And they're just all working that out now and getting into their cars. Do you know what? We're ahead of the pack for the first time today.
Wow.
In the comms position. We've taken you through your grid. So the key thing to look for with this one is going to be the top 2. The top 2 running out there at the end of the race, who will get the last couple of positions in the A final. Do hope you're enjoying our coverage of the... He certainly is. Look at it. Look at that expression. He's transfixed on the racing, is the Stegosaurus. Nobody tell him he's actually facing the wrong way. But maybe it's so nail-biting he can't look. He can't look. That's it. Do hope you're enjoying the coverage as much as he is here. Your Alpha live stream with commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media, myself, Howard Mitchell, and John Radcliffe, Moto Meerkat himself.
Maybe the Stegosaurus has turned away because your banter was so atrocious, mate.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking. That's great.
I'm not. But yeah.
For this one, I'm very excited. As you said, I already had the C final. Despite them having sort of the least amount of experience out of all the guys in the lightweight class, still some fantastic racing, some great moves, and now we're moving on to the B final. Yeah, exactly.
Really good lap times.
Really good lap times. And one of the guys I'm going to be looking out for in this upcoming B final will be Sam Slater. He's starting from 5th position. We talked about him a decent amount today with the cheeky little green combo suit and helmet. One of our BIKC boys. So interesting to see how he does in this one.
Indeed, absolutely. We will be perhaps using this race just to take... we're going to use this race as an opportunity, let's try that again, to just talk a little bit about our two champions who are out there. Yeah, you're looking. I've got notes.
The sheet.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, we are gonna focus on these guys because they have done a fantastic job winning that championship, of course, and getting the prize for winning their classes, the featherweight and lightweight classes in that British Indoor Karting Championship, run by Team Sport. I'm sure many of you will have heard of Team Sport, as I mentioned earlier, 35 kart circuits around the UK, and Club 100 about a year ago now announcing their partnership to support several of the classes, sponsor several of the classes in the British Indoor Karting Championship. The prize for which, for the adult classes that they sponsored at least, was an entry into 8 rounds of a sprint championship. It's been a little bit haphazard because of all that's happened with coronavirus and stuff, with the calendar changes. However, they are now here, all of our ABkC champions competing. Some of them have been doing, some of them are here doing their first sprint round. Others were able to start a little earlier on. We'll get to that, but we are just going to take, because this is the slightly longer race, we are just going to take the opportunity to focus on them a little bit more.
Definitely. I think, as I said earlier, I think it's a great thing for Club 100 to be getting involved with. I feel like everyone my age or slightly older and slightly younger basically all got into karting through Team Sport because they're just everywhere. They're easily accessible. They're always great tracks and well-kept karts, great staff. So again, just a great thing for Club 100 to be involved with, to give these guys a stepping stone into some faster motorsport. But it looks like we could be ready to go. They're all still weaving, so I believe
they are, it's going to be one heck of a
go
start.
around again. Yeah,
Been an amazing start if they tried it. But yeah, it's. I think you mentioned Charlie Monk's helmet earlier, by the way, an appropriate helmet leading us away today.
I'd love to see it.
Hoping obviously to bring that one home. That was bad. But you know what? It's allowed today, so
this is the one day where it's allowed, where your terrible banter is allowed.
Absolutely.
Sorry, but I really stopped
Hang on, is it not allowed on all the other days? That's terrible news to me. I think we might be good for a start this time round.
Hopefully, and we'll see if, as you say, if he can bring it home from
absolutely.
pole.
Charlie Monk with the St George flag on his helmet there. Jed Toole alongside, and then Callum Bruhl and Adrian Mertens, your second row there. The top 2 places bag their position in the final. Here we go though, eyes on the lights, engine notes rise. Bit of uncertainty there from Charlie Monk as he looked up there for some reason, but he's got a good start there. Jed Toole immediately slots into second place. He knows how important that position is, as does Callum Bruhl, who's challenging him behind. Sam Slater in the 51 as well. He's going to try and get the better of Adrian Mertens behind him, as Alistair Irvine as well has a look as they all jostle their way through hairpin 1, and there's a lot of contact and bumping there, but somehow they're all facing the right way, and only one of the drivers I think had to take to the runoff, as I can see from our comps position here. Stephen Westwood and Dante Dillon side by side. There's also the 28 there of Dan Seeger makes a bit of contact with Dillon as well, coming onto the back straight. And John, plenty of action there. I could feel you tensing as they all came very close.
There was
to
a
some
lot of
contact
action there. Yeah, a lot of action. Dante was getting thrown around a bit on that first lap. I thought he might get taken out. He had a bit of contact down at hairpin 1, then a bit more exiting hairpin 2, but he's managed to keep it together. Actually, I think he has moved up a couple of positions, up into 7th now. So a decent start from him as all the boys follow now down into hairpin 1. We've got, as you say, that St George's flag leading the way. Can he bring it home for the end of the race? We'll have to wait and see. And how many references can we make during this race?
I'm sure plenty. Jed Toole there defending hard against Callum Bruhl for this second place, knows the significance of it, and quite helpfully, to be perfectly honest. I said that we were going to use this as an opportunity to focus on our ABkC champions. Quite helpfully for us, they are all featuring towards the sharp end of the field at the moment. So it is the lightweight champion for the ABkC in the form of Sam Slater, who's in this 4th place here in the 51 there, coming under pressure from Adrian Mertens at the moment.
Dante Dillon not too far behind either.
No, indeed. Let's tell you a little bit about our ABkC champion as he defends against Mertens into hairpin 1. He's from Bristol. He's 26 years of age, and he has already competed in a couple of rounds this season. So he's already had a 17th place in the B final at round 3 back at Lydd. Lovely circuit, loved visiting there down in Kent earlier this season, and he finished 13th in the B final at Butmore. So if you can do better this time around, as he's still able to hold on to this 4th place at the moment. This will easily be his best result so far. So really good stuff there from the lightweight champion. And actually the pressure from Mertens went away because Alistair Irvine was able to get through. So there we go, but driving really well at the moment, Sam Slater, and as I say, looking good for his best result so far. Now that was Dante Dillon in the 50 we just saw swooping through the shot as well, currently in 7th place and pressuring the back of Adrian Mertens. You'll just see him there, 2 behind Alistair Irvine's pink lid design. There is the 50 of Dante Dillon, part of this lead train of karts. He is, we were talking about his lead trolley earlier that he does have to, so unsurprisingly, I'm very unsurprised.
As he's just got a cone penalty.
And he's just got a cone penalty. Dante, we're trying to shine a spotlight on you, come on mate. But he is your featherweight champion in the BIKC. He's 21, he's from Egham in Surrey, which, I know Egham. Yeah.
Close to me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Alistair Irvine. Interesting move there. He's going to let him back through.
That's
There was a bit
heads-up
of
driving,
contact,
but it's going to allow
he's
Sam
going to lose
Slater.
like 2 or 3 positions anyway.
Absolutely. Sam Slater read that well, but Adrian Mertens is going to capture
out
the
wide.
opportunity, and Dante is going to look for that, all of the opportunities here. I will just finish this bit. He races, of course, in the BUKC. Does Dante Dillon, Nottingham Trent University. He competes for them, and he did compete back at Lid. Finished 24th in the A final, so really good first result there for him in Club 100 Sprints, but obviously coming off the back of that experience he already has in this machinery in the BUKC. Did have to miss round 4 at Butmore because he was competing in, of course, the BUKC 24 hours. A lot of the BUKC current drivers competing in that. You were there, John.
I was there.
And I wasn't, because I was at Butmore as Alistair Irvine goes down the inside of Adrian Mertens. But yes, the BUKC 24 hours, the one, I'm going to say it quietly, the one BUKC that does run Club 100 machinery. Hence why they happened in parallel. That's very unusual. But yeah, so he missed Butmore Park, but obviously it's going to be difficult. He's got to get up into the top 2 of this race if he's going to replicate that brilliant A final result from Lid. But good to see that this is exactly why the partnership between Team Sport and Club 100 exists with regards to the BIKC, is to give these folks the opportunity to step up into that outdoor racing. And you can see by how they're running competitively here. In fact, they're now lying astern. We should have done this when they were in formation. They are now in formation. Dylan's just got ahead of Slater. As there's been a spin, I can see out the window for Amy Breacher at the hairpin. I'm sorry to disappoint the likes of Jennifer Tompkins, who I know was bringing her support on YouTube. She has now got going again, but that is going to be unfortunately breached to the back of the field. I'm not quite sure what happened to cause that. She's not all the way to the back of the field, actually. But there we go. Hats off to our BIKC champions, as John is rightly so getting very excited about what's happening at the front.
Yeah. Well, I was actually looking slightly further back at 10th position. Barrett and White, and then like 3 others behind them, all descending into the final corner, and all in unison hit each other up the backside. So slowed all of each other down, but proving a good battle down in 10th. There's like a few different collections of karts that have kind of arisen, but let's look back to the front as we are on stream, because there is a lot happening.
Yeah, still just over half of this race to go. It is Charlie Monk in the lead, Jed Toole in second, and look at this, Callum Bruhl and Alistair Irvine going side by side, both formerly of the Warwick stable in BUKC. Bruhl was actually part of several stables over his years as a student within that series. So a lot of time racing between those two, plenty of respect there. But at the moment, it's the 2 drivers who were on your screen just then, Charlie Monk in the 73 and Jed Toole in the 75, who have those positions in the B final. But unlike the previous race in the C final, they haven't been able to bridge that gap. It's still all to play for at the head of the field.
But you can see the difference between the C final and the B final here. So there's actually going to be a move. Alistair Irvine, yeah, nice, thank you. Yeah, I have to apologise to him. I was saying Irvine throughout his entire rest of the heat, and that was wrong. It is Irvine. But he's made a good move there, and that's going to move him up into 4th position, I do believe. He's got fit. Sorry, is he? The timing screen hasn't updated, so timing might have frozen there. Yeah, he is indeed up to 3rd. I think you are right, and as we say, the timing screen has gone. But he's going to make the move up into 2nd. That was a send.
This is key.
Luckily, no contact there. Obviously not able to get the speed, exiting the corner, so has to feed back into 3rd position. But this is allowing for our leader to race ahead, I believe. He's gained maybe about a few tenths there, and hopefully, he's hoping they can continue battling, continue losing time, and he can break away off into the lead here.
I do want to say, by the way, I'm aware of some of the comments coming in. We know we've been having a few technical difficulties with the stream. Do not forget, though, through all of the time we've been having that, we have had it on record. So if there are any bits you've missed, come back to the Alpha Live channel and you can watch that on demand at your leisure, or even just watch it back, the bits that you have seen. But please do bear with us, and apologies for that. It's for reasons that are beyond our control somewhat here, but we are still capturing this all for you, as now Irvin is challenging, hounding the back of Jed Toole for what he knows is the last of these promotion spots. And I won't lie, I would on average, I know that Alistair is a very very good driver, and I would on average, I have to say, expect him to make it into the A final here, but he's up against some strong competition here. Charlie Monk, I don't want to keep focusing on it, but it's very appropriate if he can bring this one through to the win. I think it'd be very fitting. Someone get a photo. Again. There we go, though. Yes, absolutely. Sorry, Irvin looking down the inside, and there was a bit of contact there, and again, Toole is going to come back at him. And Irvin will have been thinking for the cutback, but Bruhl's there to respond.
Dante as well.
Dante Dillon, Adrian Mertens in the 57 as well. That's brilliantly read by Bruhl, and he's got by on Alistair Irvin. So now it's Bruhl who will be looking to get past Jed Toole. I think Irvin would have been going, right, I'm going to have the switch back out of hairpin 2, we're going to get this. And then suddenly Bruhl went, no, you're not, sunshine. I'm going to stuff it up the inside and take that off of you. That was brilliantly read there by Callum Bruhl.
It's a very, very cheeky move, and we've got both of the ABkC boys up in this pack, seeing what they can do. Dante was getting right involved with that little kerfuffle there, but wasn't quite able to make anything from it as 75 goes defensive. Alistair with a little bit of a bump on the back of Bruhl, but he's managed to keep the position again. But Alistair does look up the inside. Can he make it stick? I think he has, but Bruhl's going to have the better exit. Going to come down into pylon. They're going to be side by side. A little bit of pushing, sliding, but I think Alistair's made the move stick. He has up into third position. Fantastic from him. They're still kind of side by side, but there we go. He's finished off the move, done and dusted, and up into third.
Yeah, lovely stuff for Irvin to get it back from Bruhl, and that's the 93 in the wall, which is going to make it.
I can't see anyone. Thomas Barrett.
Yeah. So unfortunate there for him. Apologies as well that we're having a few issues with our timing tower as well. I'm just trying to work out for you how many minutes are left, but I can neither see the clock out the window, or do I have a working clock on my timing screen in front of me?
I reckon there's probably about 2-3 minutes guesstimation.
Well, when we said that there was just over halfway to go, that was correct, as I believe it. So I think we've probably got, as you say, about 2-3 minutes left of this one.
However, it is definitely left. It's been very exciting.
It has been great, hasn't it? Charlie Monk definitely leading this one strongly, and I think it is all about the second place battle. And still, we're getting a nice ABkC derby happening here between Dante Dillon and Sam Slater, which will still go the way of Sam at the moment, because Dante, don't forget, has a cone penalty. Yeah, we should have done their little crib sheet thing with them when they were together, but never mind. It's good that we were able to.
We've given the introduction, and now we can watch them go at it.
Absolutely, and yeah, hoping to have a catch up with them, a bit of maybe a cheeky interview with them in a little while.
He's just stating.
There is that.
Forward.
I wonder if that is an additional penalty. Here we go, though, side by side for the second place, and bumping all over the curb. Jed Toole is going to have Alistair Irvin go through him, and now Callum Bruhl will go down the inside. There is side-by-side, pod-to-pod contact. Bruhl knows he's going to let that back through, but it's going to allow Adrian Mertens through anyway. Mertens up into third. So now Mertens is going to try and set about taking it off Irvin, but Irvin, I think, has enough of a gap, and if this is the last lap, then it is going to be Monk and Irvin who go through on this one, surely. I can't quite get the angle on the start-finish line to know with this one. Apologies, folks. We are flying blind a little bit here in the comms position. Charlie Monk is not looking like a man winning a race right now, so he's head down across the line again. But it is Alistair Irvin now up into that second place, and the last of those promotion spots for now. As Sam Slater goes down the inside of Callum Bruhl into the stadium, but Bruhl's going to fight back. And is that Stephen Westwood in the 81 trying to get involved as well? Brilliant stuff here in the closing moments of the B final.
Slater's looking for another
Oh,
move.
he's
there,
got to get
but
Bolt. Yeah,
huge contact.
He tried to avoid contact with Bruhl, and he just basically turned on a dime and stalled on the inside of the hairpin, and Westwood had nowhere to go. No harm, no foul, I think, on that one. As we're looking there at Andrew
He's
Rabbage.
coming across the line to win the race. I do believe that is the final lap, and he takes it. Number 73, go on, you should do this. You know the names a bit better than me.
Brilliant stuff from Charlie Monk, takes the win. It's coming home for him. Gotta say it with that helmet. Alistair Irving comes along in second. That's Rabbage just beating Sakauskas there. So it is Charlie Monk and Alistair Irving who takes first and second, gets the promotion. Then it was Adrian Mertens, Jed Toole, Dante Dillon, I think, might have taken Callum Bruhl there, but bear in mind he's got a cone penalty. Sam Slater, then I think it was Stephen Westwood, and then I would be guessing, because they've all sort of rearranged themselves on the roll-down lap, that's me doing some serious driver twitching there out the window.
You did a very good job there,
apologies, timing has got the better of us here. But there we go. Brilliant stuff from Charlie Monk. Well-controlled race, and he's bagged himself a position on the final race for our lightweights of the day. Don't forget, we've got all the heavyweight action to come your way as well. But next up here at Rye House is going to be the A final. Let's take you through the grid, at least, for how they're going to line up on this A final, which I hope we are going to have for you. There we go. So this is looking tasty for me. Ed Bars on pole, Jack O'Neill alongside, second in the championship, ahead of first in the championship on your front row. Mike Coppin and Dan Healy on row 2. Josh Adams, brilliant series of heats from him to line up on row 3 with Hussein Rashid alongside. Row 4 is going to be Daz Teal with Greg Smith, also having had a fantastic day. Did talk to me this morning as to how this is a personal favourite of his. It's showing at the moment, lining up on fourth row of the grid. Steph Theodoru there, and Andrew Ward also having a decent day, rounding out the top 10 there. Pietro Pagano and Bailey Morgan on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Chris Powell and Daniel Cohen. Jason Bradbury and Chris Woodger are on your 8th row of the grid. Peter Knight and Rihanna Percox on row 9. Rounding out your top 20 on row 10 is going to be Reece Pope and Rob Langthorpe. James Martin and Matt Collier are row 11. Ned Douglas and Samuel Essery are row 12. And they will be joined, although the graphic ends, the grid does not, because they will be joined by the confirmed now on Alpha timing in the results pages, Charlie Monk and Alistair Irvin, fresh off of that B final result. Quite tasty there throughout the field, I think it's fair to say, John. I think we are going to see here, not for the first time this season, but I think in terms of, if I'm certainly of a streaming, to me this is the closest that it's looked between Ed Bars and Jack O'Neill going into this final race. This one I think is going to be interesting. Yeah,
watching them together in the heat earlier was very interesting, but they had a slight gap between them, so we weren't able to see some proper hammer and tong racing. But as you say, starting alongside for this one, so it could prove to well, hopefully it all goes well. Hopefully we see some clean racing between the two, and everyone will be happy to know. I do believe that Alpha Live timing is back up, so hopefully it should be working all okay for this A final. So if you go to live.alphatiming.co.uk/Club100, you should be able to keep up to date with all the exact timing. So hopefully we have all that come back on for our stream as well. But yeah, as you say, it's going to be my first ever A final to commentate over it, and from the battles we had in the B and C, I am extremely excited, sir.
Yeah, I should say as well, Class 2 is obviously up for grabs here. Hussein Rashid is your highest placed person on the grid for that class. Greg Smith he's starting 6th on the grid. Greg Smith is starting 8th on the grid, the second highest of the Class 2 positions. There he is exiting the pit lane. And then Steph Theodore in the 85 is your third highest. And just double checking, and yes, I thought so. The significant thing to say as well is that Sam Essery, who we've been saying has been having a great day, is our only Class 3 runner to have made it up into this A final. So we have to say already, congratulations to Sam Essery. He has, by dint of the fact that he's in this race, he has won Class 3 within the lightweights for today. So brilliant result to for Sam. We noted how well he has been racing and carries on the form that he's already had this year, because he came into today leading the Class 3 championships. Your top 3 within Class 3 at the moment is Sam Essery in 25th place overall, Matthew Cockram in 28th overall, and then it's I think it's Henry Breacher then in third, as I'm just looking through the championship table. So interesting stuff, but well done to Sam on this day, because he has got himself into the A final, and as such has won Class 3 for today. Just saw Charlie Monk and Alistair Irvine joining the drivers for their warm-up laps. We should make clear you do get some warm-up laps ahead of the A final by convention here in Club 100 Sprint Racing.
As you say, big shout out to Sam. He's been doing fantastic today. He's been super impressive putting in that pace today. But we've got Alistair is coming in the pits actually, so I think he's going to be changing his kart for this race. Not liking that one, but also the man with the England helmet. You love to see it out again in the A final. And is he going to bring it home again? Well, maybe not this time.
I would say between that and whether the England football team can bring it home, the odds are stacked more towards the latter than to Charlie. Hopefully he won't mind me saying that. He is starting on the penultimate spot of the grid.
Anything can happen.
So anything can happen. I'm not saying that that is the case, but it's going to be a tall order, shall we say. But yes, Alistair Irvine indeed coming in for a kart change. I really do have to emphasise quite, and there's some other ones as well, Andrew Ward coming in for a kart change, as is Bailey Morgan. But I really want to emphasise how good a job Club 100 do to keep the machinery equal in this championship. Obviously, there's a lot of, it's an arrive and drive series, there's a lot of discussion about that, but I think, in my experience, they do the best job that I've seen of keeping these carts on parity. Having said that, this is the A final, these are the most experienced drivers, they are going to be the most discerning customers when it comes to that. So if they think there's the slightest thing with the cart that doesn't work, can even be, a huge extent can be down to driving style. You know, it can be just, oh, this one doesn't work best for me, or this hasn't got the best, you know, I haven't got the turn-in I want, or anything like that. So that's why you see them doing these kart changes. It's not because there's massive disparities between them. It is because the stakes are high, frankly, and they want the absolute best machinery they can find. It is a risk, though, right? It's entirely possible that, it's entirely possible that they've just jumped into another kart and it's got worse. And of course, not so much when it's the sprints, because they've cycled them through between the races, but technically the tyres are slightly colder, you've got to work them hard, you haven't just had, and if you've just come onto the train now, you haven't been able to have any practice laps to judge that the new kart you've got is appropriate for what you want to do with it. So yeah, that's one of the risks that you take, but that is how they play it. That's why we have the warm-up laps for the A final, just so that the drivers can absolutely say, yeah, we had the option to try out the karts and judge that we were happy with it. This one's going to be interesting though, isn't it, John? We've got some, I was talking just about the top two in the championships, but also the people they've got around them are not exactly going to let them get on and up the road. Mike Coppin, one of the Applewood drivers, so much on the pace today. Dan Healy as well, starting behind them. So this is going to be really interesting.
You know, we've seen racers that have been doing some fantastic move that are down in the mid-pack. So I think all the way through this field, it's going to be brilliant. But I'm going to hand it back over to you for the start.
Thank you very much, mate. Here we go then. Ed Bars on your left as you look at it. Driver's right. Jack O'Neill on the right as you look at it. Eyes on the lights, engine neutralised, and away we go. And already Mike Coppin is jostling for position with Jack O'Neill into stadium, and he's got the job done. Josh Adams as well having a look here, but Jack O'Neill is going to hold on to third place for now, as Daz Teal is going to have a look as well, with Dan Healy in the background as they all file their way through hairpin 1, the infield hairpin here at Rye House, and through hairpin 2. Greg Smith going side by side with Hussein Rashid, but Steph Theodorou, it looks to me, may have got to the forefront of the Class 2 runners here. Yes, he has, so it's now Theodorou ahead of Greg Smith, as Hussein Rashid goes side by side with Pietro Pagano, who is not a Class 2 runner, as they run through Complex Nouvelle. Can see Ned Douglas going side by side as well with Rob Langthorpe. It was through Complex Nouvelle, and now battling with Dan Cohen as they come to finish this first lap. But it is Ed Bars who leads, Mike Coppin in second, and Jack O'Neill, your top three at the end of lap number 1. Here they are. Josh Adams, that is, just there against Dan Healy. That's the 9 versus the 2.
Alistair Irvin made it 3 wide exiting the final corner there, but did very well from it, gained a few positions and is moving up through the pack very well, slightly better than our other friend Charlie Monk, only gaining a couple, but still doing a solid job as we look back to just a massive gaggle of cars, isn't it really? No one's really moved off into packs just quite yet, but here we go, back to the guys at the front.
I'm afraid we can't petition for this one to go to extra time. Definitely everyone wants to,
We don't
to
want
get home at the
penalties.
end.
God, we don't want penalties.
Top 3 breaking away somewhat here, but as Hussein Rashid is defending against Chris Powell coming into stadium. Peter Knight also on the move behind him on Reese Pope, I believe it was, as still Dan Healy in the 2 is having a look at the back of Josh Adams, one of our drivers who, if you were watching in the interval, took part in the Club 100 Young Drivers Championship. And here we are with the top 3. Ed Bars leading Mike Coppin and Jack O'Neill. Brilliant stuff from Coppin to get himself in between the 2 at the very top of the championship. And well, he might, because I know I've been focusing on like the 2 at the top, like a film trailer, but it is actually Mike Coppin who's in 3rd in the championship. As O'Neill's having a look at this contact there, as Coppin cuts across on him there and goes, no you don't, sunshine, not this time. As Daz Till is defending here for 4th against Josh Adams and Dan Healy, who's got by now, as O'Neill's hard on the brakes on Coppin into hairpin 1, and he's going to get the job done. Is he going to give room to Coppin? Coppin just about manages to slot in behind, but this is frenetic stuff between the top 3 in the championship.
That was fantastic. Yeah, you saw as he exited the final corner, O'Neill, I could see him thinking, I'm going to go for this move at the first corner, but didn't quite get a good enough pace out of the corner. There's a little bit of contact. I thought, oh no, there's going to be a big crash here, but luckily they both managed to hold it together, and he has been able to make the move slightly further on in the lap. Then look behind them, they've got a gaggle of 5 or 6 carts now for 4th position, as there we are, number 2, that is Healy making a move on Teal, squeezing him out wide, as there you go, Coppin has got a cone penalty. He's in 3rd, so that means he's definitely going to be dropping down to 4th by the end of the race if he doesn't lose any more positions.
It also means that he's got a little bit of a, I've got nothing to lose though, and I may as well try and negate the penalties somewhat. But yeah, absolutely. 2 heat win, he won 2 heats today, didn't he, Mike? One of our double heat winners on a day when I don't think he had that many. So he's had a good day. But there's Josh Adams going out wide, and Steph Theodoro realises he's got to allow Adams back through there because he's leading. That was your Class 2 leader you just saw. He doesn't want to be getting any penalties. And right now, Greg Smith is right on his tail. That is the battle for the top place in Class 2. And that is the battle for 3rd place in Class 2 between Rashid and Peter Knight as they swoop into Stadium Corner for another lap. Here's Ed Bars. Look how strong he is on the brakes there, pushing the car to the limit to try and hold off Jack O'Neill. This is it at the front right now. This is Ed Bars trying to deny Jack O'Neill his first sprint round victory of the season. Delighted that we're able to bring you this one streamed this round, because this could be an interesting turning point in the season. It could just be the first one where Jack doesn't happen to stand on the top step of the podium. Time will tell. But right now, it is fantastic to watch. Steph Theodoro leads Greg Smith through this final sector in that battle for the lead in Class 2, which is a battle for 7th overall.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jack does need to be a little bit careful, though, as he's hunting down Ed Bars. As the number 102 does dive up the inside, that is Peter Knight. Good move from him at the first corner. And a lovely little battle this is down for 11th place. I think he's just got him up into 10th past Rashid, so a great move from him. But yeah, I was going to say that Jack O'Neill does need to be a little bit careful because he has got a contact warning. So he's got to think about that move that he goes for on the lead if he does end up catching Bars. Yeah, it's a really good point. Really good point there. Here is Mike Coppin now defending against Dan Healy, and I wondered if there was going to be room run out there for Healy, and it did somewhat, but it just managed to avoid anything that came to tears there. Anna Percott's there. I can see running. I think she's just got by Reese Pope on that lap. Yes, she has indeed. And it's Chris Powell now down the inside of Hussein Rashid. So Rashid, I think, has just been demoted down to 12th place. As at the front of the field, there's a certain Jack O'Neill reeling in a certain Ed Bars, and this could be very interesting at the front of the field here. Dan Healy leading Mike Coppin now over 3rd place. Here is your lead battle coming through Complex Liddell right now. Ed Bars in the 1, your defending champion, against Jack O'Neill. So far, has not failed to win a round of this championship so far, has 4 straight wins. He won at Clay Pigeon, he won at Wilton Mill, at Lydd, and at Butmore Park. He wants the 5th round victory, but Ed Bars wants to get his first finals win of the season here. On that last lap, Ed Barr's doing a 42.7, but O'Neill doing a 42.6. Just slowly creeping closer. Oh dear, Rihanna Percox has got a penalty. She's down in 13th.
Bump and pass.
Was that for bump and pass? That's going to be 4 positions, isn't it? That's huge for her. Very frustrating. Luckily, these two at the front with no penalties just as of yet. But to remind you, contact warning for O'Neill. So he has got to plan out this move perfectly. He can't be sending one at the first corner like he tried to do on Coppin earlier in the race. He's got to really think about this. And he has still got 5 minutes to go. He doesn't want to jump the gun.
And another important thing here, personal bests from both Dan Healy and Mike Coppin. You can see on the timing tower going blue there. That means they're setting their personal fastest laps of the race. They are working together at the moment to try and get back onto terms with the top two. But that is no easy feat, because these are two of the fastest drivers in Club. Make no mistake, Healy and Coppin have fantastic pace of their own, but it is a tall order. They're going to be hoping that these two start to battle slightly sooner than optimum from their perspective, so that they can catch up. Daz Till and Josh Adams rounding out this top 6 cluster of Class 1 runners, and then still the lead battle in Class 2 going on between Theodoru and Smith, which you could just see flash into the background of your shot. Now, Bars, I feel, John, is just feeling the need to go a little bit tighter at Stadium Corner. Just take the slight defensive line to deter any moves.
He can feel the aura of Neil behind him, pressing now, wanting to get that done, as Bailey Morgan, I believe that was, got a penalty. So frustrating for her. Where was she?
He's got
sorry, my apologies.
Bump and pass for him.
Ah, that's very frustrating.
It was Rihanna Percox who also got bump and pass.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's got a penalty as well.
Sorry, getting my people confused there. But as we look back to the leaders again, still hunting him down, and Healy is definitely moving closer. I think he's gained about 4, 5 tenths since we last looked at them, and then Coppin is there as well. They could make this very interesting, but yeah, Bars knows he's there, goes very defensive, with Healy setting the fastest lap of the race, a 42.5, so he's definitely chasing them down. He could smell that win, and he's running for it.
Absolutely. Ed Bars going super defensive now, takes the tight line into hairpin 1. O'Neill will get good switchback though off of this. Will he get the room on driver's left? Yes, there's good respect between these two, but Ed Bars will know he needs to sort of stall the car and hang it on the apex to deny the switchback. Indeed he does, brilliantly read, and it's allowed Dan Healy to join in now as they go through Pylon Corner and into Complex Nouvelle. This is brilliant stuff here between some of the absolute best in Club 100. Make no mistake, as they'll come round now onto a new lap. What kind of run can O'Neill get off of the final corner? What kind of run can Healy get off? They're all going to be over to driver's right, but Ed Barr's going slightly less defensive this time. It's now O'Neill who's worrying more by taking a slightly tighter line through Stadium. Doesn't upset your pace too much there, as you can see. Who's got a good run? Healy's got a very good run, and O'Neill's going to have to go half to the inside, half in attack, half in defence, as Ed Bars is going to run them out of hairpin 2, and now it's very much Healy versus O'Neill as I read it, because I think Ed Bars has got, albeit very little, but a little bit of breathing space.
A tiny bit, about a tenth or so, yeah, if you can call that breathing
Funnily
space.
enough, I need some breathing space as well.
But yeah, like we said, it only took about 2 or 3 corners of battling, and Healy was right on the back of them. So now we have a 3-way battle for the lead in today's A final for the lightweights. This is hotting up very nicely, just what we wanted to see.
Absolutely, mate. We are being given an absolute treat here. New fastest lap of the race, though, from Peter Knight, who has got past Theodoru for the lead in Class 2. So there's a fantastic Class 2 battle as O'Neill goes down the inside of Ed Bars, and Ed Bars is going to be pushed out wide, and Healy now is going to seize the opportunity. He's going to be on the outside, though, for the outfield hairpin. O'Neill will surely be able to bring this one through. No, Healy's going to keep his foot in it. Side by side, Ed Bars is bump drafting his championship rival in many ways, but it's O'Neill who leads them into Complex Nouvelle for now. Dan Healy, Ed Bars, and Mike Coppin has done exactly what he needs to do, got his head down, focused, and made it 4-way at the front here. As we're going to I'm just going to look further back. Peter Knight, you can just see firing into your shot, has now got a little bit of comfort over Steph Theodoru at the lead of that. Theodoru is still battling away with Greg Smith over second place in that class. That's for 8th overall, so keep an eye on that one. As O'Neill's going to go straight defensive, early move to the inside. He knew that he needed to do that against Healy. Ed Bars is going to take the conventional racing line, and as a result, he's going to be on Healy's tail for the next one as they come out of the outfield hairpin. I think they're going to stay as they are for now. This is fantastic stuff, though, between our top 4 at Rye House.
Heavily defensive now from O'Neill. Bars must be frustrated with all that happened there on that previous lap. Dropped him down from the lead to 3rd. We were saying earlier, could this finally be the day where O'Neill doesn't win a final? Well, now he's up into 1st. He's looking like he's going to take it again, but only 1.5 minutes to go, and 3 of them smelling that win. They all want it.
Yeah, penalty for Ned Douglas, another fastest lap of the race for Peter Knight as well. 42.4.
Wow.
That is, might be the fastest one I've seen this weekend. O'Neill again, defensive just enough to deny Healy the room on the inside, and is going to compromise Healy's exit. They get so close to the tyres on exit there. Ed Bars is on the outside. He's going to try and hang it round the outside of the outfield hairpin, but is he going to be given enough room? Yes, he is. 3 wide between Coppin, Healy and Bars going down the back straight. They are nose to tail. You couldn't put a piece of paper between the bumpers of these karts right now. This is brilliant stuff, and somehow O'Neill's still leading this one. It's surely going to be the last lap this time around.
Mate, I can't look. I can't look. There's so much going on. Oh my goodness. I think we are going to go on to the last lap. We are indeed. They're going to the first corner. The stadium section, O'Neill leading Bars, followed by Healy, and Coppin is now very much involved in this battle. They've only got a few corners coming up. O'Neill's going to go very defensive. Healy's going to look for the move up the inside of Bars. Not going to happen. Bars goes a little bit deeper, and they do continue to follow into the right-hander. Very defensive from O'Neill. It's going to push out Bars. Bars might lose out to Healy here.
Absolutely, as they're going to come towards Pylon Corner. Can Healy stuff it down the inside in Complex Nivelle? No, the door is shut on him, but I think that's going to be enough, though, here, John, to allow O'Neill to hang on. He is going to keep a defensive line, so what, is it going to be a drag to the line even if Bars can really nail the exit? I think it might be. Here it is, side by side at the line, but it is, I think, just going to be Jack O'Neill by 72 thousandths of a second from his championship rival in Ed Bars. The defending champion finishes second, Dan Healy in third, Mike Coppin finishes fourth, Daz Teal finishes in fifth, Peter Knight, great pace and battles towards the end to just get past Josh Adams there for sixth. Josh Adams then in 7th. Steph Theodoro finishes 2nd in class in 8th place. 9th for Greg Smith, finishes on the podium in class 2. Good day for him. Rihanna Perkops rounding out the top 10. Pietro Pagano, Chris Powell, Reese Pope. Well done again to Sam Esri for finishing 14th and winning that class 3 today. Hussein Rashid in 15th. Then it's Chris Woodger, Alistair Irvin, Jason Bradbury, James Martin and Dan Cohen to round out your top 20. Bailey Morgan finishes 21st, does have a penalty though, I believe, as does, I think, Ned Douglas in 22nd. Rob Langthorpe, Matt Collier, Charlie Monk, and Andrew Ward. Some drama befalling him there, dropping towards the back of the field. Not quite sure what happened there, but, well, the question was asked, and Jack O'Neill somehow, in amongst all that, came up with the same answer that he's given to everybody for the whole of the year so far. No, this championship bid, this one's mine. That was fantastic. John, I think we're going to have to wrap it up fairly quickly as we look ahead to the heavyweights today. But how was that for you? Your first experience of Rye House racing and a brilliant end to our lightweights.
Mate, that was incredible. What a race to finish out this morning of racing with the lightweights. And yeah, my first time commentating on Club 100 couldn't have gone better. What a great one to be involved with. But yeah, make sure you stick around on today's stream to see the heavyweights this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for supporting everybody. Take care, and hopefully we'll see you soon for our heavyweights.